Hello, everybody. Welcome. Well, I want y'all to welcome KJ, aka Black Genghis, to the show.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me, Aaron.
How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's Friday. Got paid. Might do some karaoke after this. Perform, just got paid, and then leave because I don't want to spend all my money drinking while listening to karaoke. How are you doing, man?
Then I'm doing all right. It is Friday, so I cannot complain. It is Friday, and I got a delivery today, so I'm excited about that.
All right.
So we are going to start off. This is kind of how I start off with every guest.
Okay.
So what do you know about Venn diagrams?
They are a lot of fun in the middle, and you can play with different colors, and everybody loves them.
All right. So Myers-Briggs, we're going to talk about this. This is the Geek Nerd Dork version. So what it is, if you have a high IQ and you have an obsession, you're a geek. If you're obsessed and socially awkward, you're a stalker. If you have a high IQ and you're socially awkward, you're a dork. So if you have all three of those conjoined problems, as we might call them, you're a nerd.
Okay.
So where in this spectrum do you find yourself? Are you the geek or nerd? I mean, I guess you can call yourself a dork or a stalker, but then we're going to have a different conversation.
No. I am definitely a geek. I usually tend to get along with folks. Before the pandemic, when I saw just how many people don't give a damn about each other, I used to think very highly of people. I used to root for people. And that circle got way smaller. I tend to say some people like you have to earn my respect. The disrespect is free. Yeah. And I would say it used to be the reverse, where it was like, you have to earn my disrespect. Yeah. I'm just, and I thought better of people keeping each other safe during a modern day plague. Apparently that wasn't the case. So that changed things. But before that, I could talk to a prince or a pauper, man. It was good.
Yeah, somewhere along the lines, we became callous and uncaring towards our fellow man. That's kind of a disappointment.
I think we just got a more honest picture. I hate to say
we did. But it was a wake-up call for a lot of us.
Yeah. But I would say solidly a geek. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. So before we kind of get into the whole night, we got to talk about any pickups. So what did you pick up this week?
What did I pick up this week? Man, I had a humongous haul come in from Hasbro. So I did the Power Pulse sale. I'm a premium member, so I was able to save all this money.
Yeah, exactly.
I got full team roster of X-Men 275, including this bad boy here, Wolverine. So that came in.
Nice.
Can't wait to open all those up. I'm going to review all 7 of those at once. Love Return to Jedi. Star Wars. Every Friday I wear a Star Wars shirt. It's just what I do. So got this. I already have Paplu. Already have Tebow.
Got to get your Wicket. Yeah.
Got to get my Wicket because I'm Wicket. Shout out to Ice Cube. Just a bunch of other stuff. Some of these things I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to end up selling just because it's like, why did I get this? I didn't need to get this.
You know what? I can totally sympathize because I have this whole stack over here, and I got one of those 275 packs. I got it because I only wanted Banshee.
Okay.
Now I'm stuck with Psylocke and Gambit. I wanted Banshee. It's one of those things that, but I have this pile of stuff I have not managed to open.
Yeah.
in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm starting to realize that I have a problem, but got this bad boy today.
Nice.
Got this bad boy today.
Okay.
This is Vicron. Yesterday.
Nice. A-Walk. Love it.
Wave 2. Got all my boys, and at least these 4 anyway.
And shout out to Jason and Bienvenue. Great job with Sparrow Toys. They look excellent.
Amazing readers.
I got the opening salvo from the Kickstarter, and I stopped. I was like, let me save up some money first. When I've been good, I will get Thane came in. That's going up on. Going to review that as well.
Oh, they're so fantastic, and I have to properly, pimp these guys because, this week's haul was brought to you by them, at least for the most part, with the exception of this, which was Mattel Creations, and this was Hasbro Pulse.
Yeah,
because I'd already had it on pre-order.
You should be able to get some really cheap Masterverse blank bodies, like He-Man shouldn't cost you more.
Yeah, I've got a couple already because I was planning on doing customs, and I was like, I'm not buying. Well, I bought 3 Vicrons anyway, but 2 of them are going to other places for other things.
Okay.
Because we kind of do this thing on one of the basically in one of the groups that I'm in, and it's acts of kindness, and we kind of do things for others that can't do for themselves. So sometimes we purchase extra things that we can make sure that somebody else gets.
That's great, man.
So it's one of those things that I am thankful for that community for that purpose, is that we give to others. So, well, I'm going to check in, see who is all here, because dear goodness, it does appear that we got quite a few. Matthew Matson is here. Matthew, thank you for being here. Thanos Copter is here. Hello, sir. Wait, there's Nolan. Nolan is here. Nolan is the only man that I think is in more chats than me. I honestly think that man is in more chats than me.
Yeah.
Lawrence is here. Starting stuff, probably. Romo is here. What's up,
Romo? Drums in the house, baby.
There's Action Figs. What's up, Ed? How you doing? There's Ted from Hella Dope Toys. Let's see. Who else? Wilhelm Toy and Hobby is here. Hey, Wilhelm. How you doing, sir?
Wilhelm always makes me scream.
Miss Allison, how are you, young lady?
Miss Allison.
Is that everybody? I hope it is, because if I miss somebody, you can scream at me later. So
don't blame me.
No, he has no control over what I'm doing currently. So that's could be good or could be bad. We don't know. So generally, sometime during the evening, I always do this shameless plug.
Okay.
For the Frenzied. Please come and visit. Join the Patreon. Find out what we're all about.
It's a good stream.
All right.
Shout out to Ostradamus Toys. Yeah.
One of the things that I do is I kind of describe what a play state is. I think one of the things that we forget as adults to do is we forget to play. Mm-hmm. We forget how critical play is to our mental health. So I'm going to define it for you, and then we're going to kind of talk a little bit about play in your life.
Right.
So a play state is a state of mind where one is absorbed in an activity that provides enjoyment, provides enjoyment, and a suspension of a sense of time. When was the last time that you played?
I'll answer that in 2 ways. The last time I played was when I did my Marvel Select Blade review, and I added a soft goods leather cape, and I was just striking all manner of poses. I used the Bat Cycle from the McFarlane toys for the Flash movie, sort of as a stand-in for the Toy Biz motorcycle that he came with, and it was just a blast. I was this close to breaking out the Tyranid Gene Stealers from Warhammer, just so he would have someone to fight. But that, I would say, was probably the last time I played with the toys. And with friends, I have a good group of friends. We call ourselves the Motu crew. And I went over to one of their homes at Panorama City, and we just hung out all day. We were just playing superpowers. I had gotten them a supermobile. He got me the Batwing, and I was just punching everything with the supermobile. It was great. It was just a lot of fun.
Saying hey to Star. How's Star doing tonight? All right. So when you were a child, what were your favorite ways to play?
It was essentially dioramas, but I would set up battle scenes. Like, I didn't call them dioramas at the time. I would try to emulate scenes from shows. So it was Ninja Turtles. I would try to like do a version of that. I had the sewer play set. That was a lot of fun. Batman. I would actually make like construction paper skyscrapers for him to like perch on and jump off of and stuff like that. Power Rangers. I would do all these great tokusatsu poses and be like, "We're the Power Rangers," you know, and just set them up, see how long I can get them to stand. No smartphones, so no photos of it exist, but I would just do that stuff all the time. Just a lot of recreations. And what I was essentially doing was writing, and I didn't realize that at the time. I was basically like writing my own adventures in a way.
Well, I think we all do as kids. We kind of, if we're playing, we kind of go into that mode of headcanon kind of play. And that for us it's part of the socialization process of kids. It's kind of what we do as kids, is how we kind of learn to socially interact. Strangely enough, even just with playing with our own toys by ourselves, because we have conversations with our toys, right? I mean, that's kind of how we did it. So you kind of remember how that play made you feel?
It felt great, like, you know, sort of continuing my own adventures. And in a strange sense, it's kind of how I ended up here in LA, because I started writing when I was a kid. Like, I like will write my own fan fiction, like Pirates of Darkwater or Mortal Kombat, you know, and then X-Men, you know. The next thing I know, like, I just kept writing. And I started writing like full screenplays, and I submitted like a portfolio to a film school where I was at Florida. And I was at Florida A&M, and I submitted some stuff to Florida State, and then I got into film school. But a lot of that came from that same nature of play. Just I didn't have action figures; it was just all up here. Moody, what's up, man?
What's up, Mood? So, when was the last time you had those feelings that you had as a kid, as an adult?
I had to say maybe a few days ago. I still write. I still come up with scenarios. I still come up with dialogue, and I'll still put words down on a page, man, and come up with some pretty cool stuff. So whenever I still write, you know, that's kind of what it feels like.
Thanos has an interesting question for you. Did you finish the Pirates of Darkwater? I am curious as well, because that's an underrated IP.
All right. So what I did, I came up with Lightwater. And it was like some sort of portal they had to like an anti-version, but that's how they could beat back the dark water. They needed to get like vials of light water, and you could only get it from like this cavern that was like an entry point to like an opposite world. But they had to fight themselves because like the opposite versions of them need dark water, but they got trapped in the cave, so they had to like fight each other. It was crazy. But anyway, yeah, it all works out in the end. So yeah,
it sounds interesting, because I think Thanos might hit you up for that. If I have any idea on that one, he'll probably hit you up for that. So, what current things that you do, and this is all things. It doesn't necessarily have to be about toys, but you know, it is toy therapy. But you know, we'll go into other areas. But what current activities that you do that bring you close to that same feeling you had as a kid?
Besides screenwriting, I would say customizing. I've been very fortunate to meet people like Anthony Romo, who's in the chat, Ryan Sweeney, good buddy Dr. Giles Gifford. They've been very inspirational. So a good buddy of mine, once again from Motu Crew, gave me a spare Dremel kit, like a full Dremel kit. I was like, yo, And then from there, I just started destroying toys, like hollowing out head sculpts and like, trying to make different things fit. So I actually took a WWE Warlord, the screaming head from the McFarlane Project Superman Aquaman. No, the Flashpoint Aquaman.
Yeah.
And put that together with some different hand pieces, some gridiron road pig set, and just make my own road pig. And Ryan, he was like, "Yo, man, don't forget to paint that hair white with the red stripe." I'm like, okay. I use Vallejo colors, and they have a lot of colored primers. So with primer, you can paint onto plastic, and then you put the paint on top of the primer. But with a colored primer, that helps you skip a step. So I have white primer and I have red primer. So I wouldn't even need to add on extra paint. I could just use primer, paint the red band that's stripped to make road pig, so it doesn't look like Aquaman, basically. Even Sweeney was like, don't forget to get the bloody cinder block. And Mark from Cannon from Gridiron, he gives you the regular cinder block hammer, but not the one covered with blood. I was like, I'll spring for it. So Ryan was right, as he usually is. So.
Ryan was contributing. Star brings up a good point. The ability to experience a subject or lore with another sense. In movies, we can see and hear it. In reading, we can mentally picture it. And sometimes if you actually are reading to yourself aloud, you can hear it. But with toys, we kind of get to touch it.
Let me see if I can do this without destroying everything. Yep.
Yeah, don't drop everything.
Don't distract. Okay, I dropped a little bit of something. So like I got this John Wick hand sculpt. Shout out to chapter 4. Not exactly the Pit Viper, but it's close enough. And this is the Obadiah stain. So just even doing a quick kit bash like that, it's like, it's like all I need now is just a bunch of staircases for him to tumble down. Spoiler alert, there are no stairs in.
Or just get him like a big sheet of plastic that he's getting thrown through, so he can get glass all over him, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's how that works. So, how do you play with your toys now versus when you were a kid? What's the difference?
So I guess the big difference is the willingness to take risks. So, for example, when I was trying to use a Gamerverse Captain America, and I was trying to make Vipers, I had some head sculpts from Raging Spoon at the time. So this is before the Vipers were officially released. And I had no idea what I was doing. And by the time I was done, the figure was unsalvageable. Like I was using like putty, but I was using like Tamiya putty, which gets very hot, which is different from like Millie Putt, or I would say even like Perfect Putty or green stuff, right? So I basically use something that used heat, basically. So like by the time it gets exposed to air, like it like heated up.
Yeah.
And so by the time it was done, I was like, well, I just wasted that figure. Like I would have never done that as a kid. I mowed lawns, I raked leaves, I sold fruit, donuts. Like I was hustling because I had to earn each and every single figure I got. Now the Power Rangers took forever, and I got both scales. So I got like the small ones with the flippy heads, and I got the larger ones, and the Zords. So like I was basically the landscape company for my neighborhood, man. But it was worth it. That was fun. I would have never do that stuff with.
You know what? I swept a hot ass warehouse for over for 40 hours just so I could get it enough credits to get a flag as a kid. I mean that was a 90+ degree warehouse.
Oh man, you suffered for that, man.
Yeah, so I worked hard to get that.
Man,
cleaned it out, picked up with that. Oh, yeah, that was one of those moments. But you appreciate those toys a little more, right?
Yeah, definitely.
As a kid, when you have to work for them that extra little bit. Mm-hmm. So, speaking of childhood, what were you've kind of touched on Power Rangers and some of the other ones. What were your other childhood toy lines?
Loved Ninja Turtles. And so it takes everything not to plunge myself into financial destitution for getting like everything NECA, everything animated NECA. I have some of the movie NECA figures, but that's it. Like a couple of the box sets, the special celebratory box sets. One time I went on eBay and I bought the first 4 turtles, but they were knockoffs plastic smelled bad. It was terrible. I got my money back, but I just got burned by the experience. So as soon as I could get Secret of Ooze, right, or I could get Kino with the scooter, but I'm not getting the animated stuff. The animated stuff was like impossible for so long to find, and now that it's more available, I made my peace with it. But stuff like Batman, the Joes, Transformers, I'll say this, and maybe I'll save that. I'll save that for later because I feel like you'll like that. I'm just gonna say that as a surprise.
Okay. So, do you still have any of your childhood toys?
I have them back at my father's house in North Carolina.
So you still got some of them?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, does it make it different when you have the childhood toys for you? When you get a toy that resembles a toy? Because especially like those storage shell turtles.
Yeah. Like that's definitely a big reason.
But I mean, that to me is it's the same. Playmates has been releasing the same Turtles toys for 30 years.
Yeah.
32 years, whatever it is, 35 years, whatever it was 88, right? It's been a long time. I'm old and I'm slightly senile. I was out of toys at the time, so I don't have a whole lot of connection to the Ninja Turtles in and of itself, but I can appreciate those people that went through it. Now, the Ninja Turtles comic, the first several issues of it, yes.
All right.
That's the Turtles for me.
All right.
So, yeah, that NECA Mirage Turtles one that just came out.
Yeah.
It was tugging at me. And it would be the only Turtles in that, and the Universal Monster Turtles are just...
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Those are very tempting, but I'm being good. Yeah. I'm not.
I love how Michelangelo the Mummy kind of looks like that old tour, rock and roll tour.
Yeah.
They had those kind of emaciated, and they kind of recreated that. That was stuff like that is great. But it's like I definitely have to save my money. So it's I had to be really, really choosy. But as far as keeping the vintage at my old childhood home, I didn't have any particular plans for them. Like, I'm not going to sell them, but I wasn't like keeping them for like my own kids or anything like that. They're just there. That's the honest truth.
So one of the things that we kind of do, at least I did as a collector, is I collected to a certain age and then I stopped. Mm-hmm. And then, I became an adult and I had adult money, and Power of the Force 2 came out and started me down that path again for a few years. And then, of course, I had my daughter, and then I had to wake up and grow up. And, my choice is between a toy and buying Pampers. The Pampers are going to win every time, right? So are there any, have you continuously collected toys, or was there periods where you kind of stopped and said, I can't do this. This is...
Man, if I have to be honest, because Power Rangers was really the last line for me. And in a bittersweet way, Power Rangers kind of represented the end of not just collecting, but really like the end of childhood, right? And video games really took over. Oh, I'm going to answer that in a second. So by the time I got into high school, it was basically music, movies, girls, that kind of stuff. And then it's a continuum. So then it goes into college and then grad school and so on. I would say video games, comic books. I was collecting comic books. HeroClix. I got really big into HeroClix. I don't think that counts as toys. That's really more.
No, they're toys because it's a game, right? So it qualifies.
I had tubs of them. I had tubs of HeroClix, and that was my undergrad.
It qualifies. I mean, it doesn't not qualify for that.
Okay, so. Yeah. They were still, that same miniature ethos applied to all those. It was like superhero chess, So, yeah. So I was a clicker, and I still have those, just tubs of HeroClix.
Well, apparently Nolan believes adulting is overrated, and Matthew thinks adulting sucks.
No. I think it's important to change your relationship with adulting. The two of us right now, we are adulting. Like, whatever you can do, if you can do it responsibly, right? If you have people counting on you, depending on you, in some cases, survival. In other cases, whether it's work ethic or in a corporate setting, or like what we did over at Toy Kind of Mood. Like, Toy Kind of Mood doesn't have to happen. It happened because we are all there for each other. And I think now that we can take a big breather after Yojo June, we can just really focus on, other albums, let's say, right? But but that was all adulting. You know,
You can work on individual projects, is what you're saying.
yeah. Like I'm not Peter Gabriel. I'm not leaving Genesis. I'm Phil Collins. I'm still in Genesis. I'm still the drummer for Genesis, but I got some solo work out there.
So it is an interesting question that Star asks, and it kind of goes along the lines with what the question I just asked. Is there ever that burnout where you're just like, this is the last toy I'm going to buy?
Yeah, man, this is the last toy. As far as Transformers goes, right? Like I was buying molds. I sent you like the Lambros, for example, right?
Yeah.
I would collect the molds. So I have Artfire, Road Hauler, Grapple, and had Inferno, sold Inferno, got Inferno back. A friend of mine added it to his pile of loot for me, and once again from Mo2 crew. So I got all my 4 truck boys.
Well, it's ironic because that's one of the few Transformers that I had as a kid.
Okay.
I did not have very many Transformers. I had Inferno, Brawn, Cliff Jumper. I mean, I think I maybe had 5 or 6. See, this is the kind of grandparents I had. And I asked for Optimus Prime. Okay. My cousin lived with because my aunt lived with my grandparents. My cousin lived with them. So guess what he got for Christmas that year?
He got Optimus Prime.
You know what I got?
Inferno.
No. I got a pair of Penn State sweatpants. I live in Oklahoma. My grandmother lived in Kansas. Why? I don't get it. But that was the kind of stuff that my grandma pulled all the time.
Hey.
Like, really, Grandma? You suck. So it was one of those moments where you're just like, okay, that's not cool. But so you kind of mentioned all of your toys that you collected as a kid or played with as a kid.
Yeah.
Are there iterations of those toys? Like you got the storage shells, but what about the other toys in your life? What toys pulled through from childhood to adulthood? What are you paying what I like to call the nostalgia tax on?
The nostalgia tax? Okay. We might as well get right into it. I guess chief among those, because I didn't have Star Wars toys as a kid. My brother, he had the Star Wars toys. So he had Millennium Falcon, he had Boba. Those were his, right? So whenever I was mixing, he'd be like, hey. I'm like, what? So it would say Batman. Like I had like the Batman Kenner figures from the 89 movie, and then I got the animated series, and then Batman Returns, and like all that stuff, right? All the gold Batman, the diver Batman, the glow in the dark Batman.
So the McFarlane Batman's having 25 every 6 months doesn't bother you, right?
Not really. I mean, that's just part and parcel of it.
I know. I make fun of it because I've got quite a few. I've got more than I should of those Batmans. I mean, I really, honestly, the 3 Jokers is my preferred version.
Okay.
Of that. The Hush is okay. I don't have it, but I don't need it. And I have the Batman from the Flash movie for my Batmobile.
Okay, yeah. I have
the Bat family is pretty much what I would collect from Multiverse, and then if it's not Legion of Doom,
yeah,
I want Super Friends, Legion of Doom, that group. Give me those in figure form. I'm done.
Yeah,
I would be happy. And if he gives it to me in superpowers, if he gives it to me in multiverse figures, I would prefer the multiverse figures just scale wise in my room because it would look really weird. But my superpowers look great on the wall. So
yeah, same here. Shout out to Romo. He's the one that got me into superpowers, and I didn't get into the Mattel multiverse stuff. I have a couple that I bought from friends to go with my Mofex. So I have some Mofex Batman. I have some Mezco Batman. I have an SHF Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just playing that 6-inch scale and that 7-inch scale, like I'll collect that at that level. And
yeah.
Also,
funny again.
You brought the Joes, the Joes hit hard. So Classified, when they came onto the scene, it was all about bringing all that love back, in just like different forms. Either that, once again, the Hiya toys.
Have you opened them and played with either one of the ones? I'm sure you got both, right?
I got Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. I have not received Cobra Commander yet. And I'm being very careful in opening those so I can slide them back in and out. So that's the only thing. Right now I'm just reviewing other things first and then
if they were in the scale that I wanted, I would get them, but I can't do 4-inch anymore. I mean,
and collecting multi-scale is tough. It's really difficult. The only reason I bothered with this was because they kept the original
the tattoos
concept art. Yeah, exactly.
I think we missed that opportunity, but I think we're going to get it, because if you look at that Snake Eyes one, I think they kind of tipped their hat at that.
Yeah, they showed a little clue on the Desert Commando art. So
cool. Star, if you really honestly, you're killing me with these questions, but they're good questions.
All right.
So, does the lore of any of your toy interests dictate your interest in that line? When they alter the story in a way you don't like, does that kill your interest in the toys?
That is a very good question, Star. In a big way, yes. And to answer your second part of your question, yes. So once again, let's go back to Star Wars. Love the movies, read the Timothy Zahn novels, Heir to the Empire. And we're seeing shades of that now in some of the new shows that'll be coming out later on this year. What really got me back into collecting, I mean, the pandemic was an accelerant, yes, but it was Mando. It was Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. My roommate at the time got me one of the Sith Troopers from Comic-Con as a gift. And I was like, this is super awesome. The movie wasn't that good, but the figure was dope. And then Mando came on, and Mando looked great. We saw some of the sneak previews from Comic-Con. And by the time that Disney Plus launched and then the show launched, that was the first toy hunt I went on probably since, looking for Power Rangers at Toys R Us. So I got Mandalorian, got the heavy Mandalorian. The world shut down, and then I had to really think about what I wanted to get. But as far as the lore goes, by the time we just started seeing all these figures just on a different show, Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, and whatnot. And then I kind of burn out on those. And then the prices kept going up. I loved Bad Batch. I thought season 1 and season 2 were great. Couldn't find Hunter. Couldn't find the first Crossfire. I got the Imperial Crossfire. Then they did the season 2 with the mercenary gear. Walmart wanted $28 a piece. I'm like, I'm not paying that. I'm I'm the Power Pulse or Power Days sale on Pulse. That's the only reason I got all the stuff that I did. It's I wait for the sales. I wait for a better price.
Sometimes that's what we have to do. I mean, it's responsible. Ray wants to know how you got those Joes. I know that Big Bad Toy Story was going to carry them for a while, but I don't know if that's how you got them or not.
I got these from Cool Toys Club, and at first I had to on Discord. I'm in a couple of Discords, ACBA, that kind of thing. I was like, hey, are these guys legit? That's usually all you have to ask. You ask those guys, they know, and they're like, yes, Cool Toys Club is legit. Gun Damn It is legit. Show Z store. So there's just different import sites you can go to. Sometimes they won't all carry them, like Hobby Link Japan, Plaza Japan, that kind of thing.
Does Ami have them?
I've never ordered from Ami.
They're reputable, but okay. I don't know if they do or not.
I've ordered from Amazon Japan, but Amazon almost always marks up.
Yeah, and then Nin Nin Game.
I've heard of them. I haven't ordered from Nin Nin Game either.
Their customer service apparently is terrible, but they have good prices.
Okay,
yeah, but
you can usually pay less than Big Bad Toy Store and get the toys factor faster if you're
anything Mafex. I'm not buying through Big Bad Toy Store anymore. I just can't.
You're just paying them money for being a xenophobe. That's basically it's the xenophobe tax.
Yeah, you get an extra $25 slapped onto the top of what it would cost you to have it shipped to you directly. Yeah. So, yeah,
you have a really involved chat, man. They're saying great stuff.
They are. You know what? I think we've piqued some interest here.
Yes. Yeah.
Star is throwing some big lobs at us, and it's interesting to see where think he's right that the big part of collecting is if the line grows or not. A line that stagnates dies. All interest evaporates as the line stops growing. And I think that's one of those things for me, particularly with Joe, is I want them to stretch a little bit and give me something new. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we're getting Glinda in the HasLab. That is new enough for me. I know the figure, but there's a lot of fans who didn't know it, and I
Right.
don't, the backlash on it is whatever at this point.
Yeah.
You're missing the point. A HasLab is supposed to be figures that you can't get anywhere else, that shouldn't be part of the main line. That's what a HasLab figure should be. I mean, we know the next one's going to be something cool.
Yeah.
And they're not going to, I've already got, I got a Knife Force Ripcord coming. I got a Dragonfly coming. I'm good at that point. I don't need 12 Dragonflies. I mean, realistically, in my brain, I was like 5. But then it was like, what exactly would I do with that?
I am teaming up with Gun Bunny. I'm going to repaint my second Dragonfly as a Tigerfly, and I'm going to be repainting Trouble Bubbles as Python Patrol Trouble Bubbles. So that's going
to have to do that. You may just have to wait for Target to do them. I wouldn't be surprised.
Perhaps.
I mean,
they'll have the tooling. So yeah, if they strip it down, no electronics, if they can find a way to give you that Dragonfly for $100, $119.99, then I would say people would be buying that.
Well, I'm talking more about the Python Patrol Trouble Bubbles are more likely to go to Target.
Oh, okay.
Televiper, because we know Python Patrol Televipers existed, so it would make sense if they. So you might have to be able to save some time and effort there.
It would make a lot of sense. I'm very impatient.
I am too, because I can't say much. I currently have a Iron Grenadiers Destro that I'm working on, so I can't really say anything about that.
I have a quick kick bash. I took the Pimp Daddy Destro. I put it on top of the What If Red Skull, and I added a Soft Goods Red Cape, and that's good enough for me. I had to paint over the Hydra symbol and replace it with Cobra.
Yeah, I've got
the Destro sigil, but that's about it.
Mine is a Crimson Guard body, nice. Destro's arms, the Pimp Daddy Destros, head and arms, and Crimson Guard body. So the rest of it is Crimson Guard.
Yeah.
The reason why is because I want the peg holes for the sword, which I repainted to be a gold. It has a gold guard, and so
that's nice.
One of those weird things.
No, that's great. I would recommend GPS Lot for soft goods capes.
There's a lot of good guys out there. Yeah, I always hit up people to figure out who they're using for whatever. So I've gotten a lot of customizers that are really open and they'll share just about anything with you. And there's some that are just a-holes and you can't get anything out of them, but that's fine. It is what it is.
They get cantankerous sometimes. Once again, shout out to Romo. He recommended the Cape Master on eBay. Romo, do they do like Legends and Classified? Do you know?
I don't think he does. I think he does just the superpower size, but I don't know.
Hey, let me ask you, because that was interesting what Lawrence just said, Punk with Toys. When was the last time you bought, like, say, $100 vehicle or playset, like $100 plus from the store? I know Spin Master had a deluxe Batmobile. There was the Arc, Titan Metroplex from Transformers.
Yeah, I don't think that they don't move and they take up a shitload of retail space. Yeah. Most retailers are not going to buy those big vehicles. They're not. Yeah. They're not going to put them on the shelf because it's going to eat up space.
I mean, I got the snow speeder from Pulse, but I mean,
I don't see that as a reasonable. You're going to get the small vehicles, and even then, those are going to sit because you're talking about a $60 toy. Because if we're looking at, let's say, the Trouble Bubble with the Televiper, that's a $60 toy, right? $55, give or take. Look at the Snake Eyes with Timbers. They sat.
Breaker cleared. I was buying breakers for like $10, $12. Yeah.
So I mean, overall, the Duke with Ram. I picked up when they went to $20. I got 2 of them, extras. I already had one. Yeah. I paid full price for one, but I got 2 at 20, so I got 2 for the price of one. And
I'm paying full price for Trouble Bubbles. Full price.
I think that part of that aspect is the people that want the vehicles. If they're not buying them, they're just going to sit because they're just going to wait for them to go to clearance at the retail.
And I guess that's the level. That's the capacity that collecting can reach. Then it's going to be third party. I know Mark II Design has a vehicle. There's the soccer van from one of those third-party companies, whatever.
Yeah.
And a couple of other, and then we had the HasLab vehicles. So
Yeah.
that's basically where it's going to be.
I can get tempted to do the craziness stuff and get the not hell charger from Ramen Toy, because I have I got Monstar and I got Quicksilver from them.
Mm-hmm.
Those represent, for that particular line, those represent that line that I had as a kid, because I had those. Those were like it was like my fourth or fifth favorite line as a kid. So
yeah, I forget. Oh, go ahead.
We kind of got a little bit we went into the weeds a little bit. So let's.
We got a little weedy.
We got into the weeds a little bit. So let's kind of throw it back into the track.
Okay.
What lines do you currently collect, and why those lines?
Okay, well, I've been waiting on this. Thanks to you, collecting these Mythic Legions, you jerk. This stuff is not cheap, but it's so good. Look at it. Man, look at this. I got this. Shout out to Gridiron. So I collect Gridiron. Gridiron is a line. There you go. You got to get some stuff from Gridiron. This is the Warblade. This is the Warblade Gridiron. And then get the cleavers. Get like
ogre for that one.
You're gonna need like 2 cleavers. No, man, Tibius. Tibius is gonna be beheading cats with this, man. I got that. I got a couple of the Legion builders. I got Pelvicus and the Furious 4, right, with the different head sculpts.
Mm-hmm.
And I got like the Undead Builder Pack from the last one they did. A couple of those. So I'm collecting Skeleton Warriors. I have the Mezco Conan the Conqueror. So I want Conan fighting.
Well, if you're gonna do that, you might want to get up on Store Horseman before it closes. This pre-order for the next set, because there's a lot.
I already ordered that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Because if you didn't, I was like, you're gonna be paying $50 for a $37 figure.
Because I am able to usually find pretty good deals, right? So Big Bad Toy Store, they had those Legion builders for sale for $40, but you still have tax and a $4 flat shipping, which is a great shipping rate. I went on eBay, there were sellers matching that price. I sell on eBay, and it's always a good deal to offer a great price. So I look for a great price when I'm on eBay, and I found them. So that's how I was able to get those.
Oh yeah, no, you have to look for a good price. You got to be. You can fall in over your head really easily with a lot of these.
To answer Brick something, yes. I've gone to Paracon in the past when I was here in LA. 4 Horsemen, they're awesome people. They're great gents. You can watch their streams. They insist on quality. You will get what you pay for. I wanted to go all in on Cosmic Legions, and I had to really dial it back. I still want to collect Cosmic Legions. It's just going to take some time. But as far as Mythic Legions goes, because I started a fantasy line with Hasbro Dungeons and Dragons and Mezco Conan, it made sense to stay Sword and Sorcery. Getting the skeletons from Storm Collectibles, from the Golden Axe line, right? So that stuff is worth it to me. And with Mezco, they're on a level that you kind of don't want to cheap out with anything else. It's going to look bad, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten the articulated icon skeletons yet. There's a couple of other lines out there that have skeleton warriors, armored up skeletons. I have the Skeleton Warrior 2-pack to go with Masters of the Universe, but I'm not going to mix that with Mythic Legions or Mezco Conan. So, and I'm looking for another Mezco Conan, but for a good price. Right now, I'm not seeing anything cheaper than $200. I refuse. That stuff was like $112 on Mezco. So it just depends.
Who else is doing? Oh, never mind. Super 7. Yeah,
Super 7 has some good stuff, like The Worst or something like that. They have a cool movie. I love the movie. I love the Conan movies with Arnold. So that ultimate.
I'm trying to think of who else had a reasonably priced Conan figure that you could use for the similar.
It's usually Mezco or Super 7. And if I wanted the Arnold Schwarzenegger, I could still get the Arnold Schwarzenegger figure to go with like the Mythic Legions and Storm Collectibles and everything else. But you get what you pay for. And I dropped Marvel Legends for the time being because I was buying full waves. I was just getting these blank-faced figures that weren't doing anything, right? So She-Hulk, like Bonebreaker was cool, but all the figures that I had to get to build that figure was like, what is this? They don't do anything. So I'd rather get a better figure, like a quality figure, for $30, $50, $100. Mezco Destro, Mezco Batman 1989. I even have Armor All wipes like Moody, like Travis ended up using to work on the sheen, right?
Yeah.
But if you want something quality, get what you pay for. I was shelling out for full waves of figures for characters I didn't even want for shows I kind of liked. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, I dropped the MCU figures. I picked up that last wave, not the most recent one, but the She-Hulk, that wave. That was the last wave that I picked up, and the only reason I picked it up, they were all $12.
yeah.
At that point I don't mind buying it, but
Yeah.
I haven't bought the 3-pack with Banshee. The only reason I bought it is because I wanted Banshee, and I got it on the Pulse Day sale, so I got it for 35% off.
There you go.
You want me to buy something, you're forcing me to buy 2 figures I don't want to get 1 figure that I do want.
Yeah.
And that's always pisses me off a little bit. That's a little irritating. Yeah. So, any collection rules? What are the rules that KJ puts down? Says these are the lines. I'm not fudging these lines. There's nothing. I'm not going over this way.
All right. So I would say this is a special. This is a special occasion. So this is my spreadsheet. This is a quick thing. You can screen grab. It's not the super important stuff. But I track everything I've been buying since March 2020, right? One thing that I don't track are Hot Wheels. I love Hot Wheels. I don't want to know what I spent on Hot Wheels, so I just have Hot Wheels. So I love diecast. But I do have a hierarchy. So it's like G.I. Joe Classified, and that's in the very top. So that's literally on the very top of my list, right? Okay. Then it's usually Star Wars, even though I'm getting less Star Wars now, and way less Marvel Legends. So I guess taking it down a peg from Classified would have to be, in a strange sense, McFarlane toys. They're $19.99. They're usually a great price. They go on sale. They clear. So I will be buying McFarlane toys for like $6 or $7, just about. I get a lot of stuff on sale. Avatar. I love the Avatar movie. The new movies, Way of Water. This is the freaking Banshee.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing is supposed to be $40. I got this for $10.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really, once a line is no longer worth the cost expenditure, that's when I drop it. So like I'm basically waiting on 2 Knights of the Old Republic figures for Star Wars, and then that'll be it for the time being. I love watching the shows, but like Chrysanthemum was like the moment that I started dropping the line because they did the skinny Chewbacca repaint, and I was like, that's not Chrysanthemum. They finally retooled and did a re-release. So I got that one, but by that point, the damage had kind of been done. I love Indiana Jones. Like people can check out our Joe Cross Jones episode that we did this past Wednesday as our finale for Joe kind of June. But I had to put a pause on those. I have the Indy figure. I'm still waiting on the Club Obi-Wan white suited Indy. Everything else is just going to have to wait until it's in stock and until I can get it on sale. I am tempted by the SHF Indiana Jones, not so much the Mezco Indiana Jones. I would say by the time I put a cap on a line like Marvel Legends, once I get that Luke Cage, the Power Man retro Luke Cage, like we have from the 3 3/4 line, but that'll probably be my last Marvel Legends for a good long while. It took that 35% off to finally get the full 275 team up, for example, right? Canceled Extremis. Canceled a lot of figures I didn't think I was going to cancel. Model 1, I wanted that Model 1 Iron Man. Canceled it. I'm like, it's like they're going to have to do better than 35%. We're talking like cleared out at that point. So once a line reaches a point where this is no longer worth the money, that's when I stop. G.I. Joe hasn't done that. If Multiverse keeps going on sale and getting cleared out, then it's not a problem getting those. GameStop will have great sales. There's always a good sale for that stuff. So that's usually, for me, worth the money.
Yeah, I think for me, when I'm doing my collection rules, anytime that I add a line, I drop a line.
Okay.
And that's just, to me, I got to do that for my own sanity. So, because I could really spread myself awfully thin if I didn't. But there's two, the one line that I would probably keep if I had to drop every other toy line, everything else would go away. G.I. Joe would be the one I'd keep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's more rewarding. They're really treating it almost like it's a movie. It's a movie without the movie. We get to make our own movie. Like, it's the level of what they were doing at Marvel Studios as far as they're updating the costumes and like everything else. They have a real love for the line.
Joe will always have a special place for me. After I got all of Classified that was out in that first month that I came back to collecting, I started hunting down the 25th, 30th, 50th anniversary figures. Mm-hmm. I got the figures that I wanted, and ones that I couldn't find, I went and found some vintage figures. And even Beggars Canyon Toys, they make reproduction cards. So I have a Sergeant Slaughter on a reproduction card that I carded myself. I have a Dial Tone that I recarded, and then I have another figure. I'm drawing a blank on who it is currently. I'll remember 5 minutes after we say this, but
it was Rock and Roll.
No, not Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll I have on a card, but I didn't have to. He's the 25th.
That's dope that you're like recarding it. Like, you strike me as someone who didn't stop Joe. Like, you got.
Oh no, I did.
You got Joe Extreme.
I gave up toys. I was probably 12, going, from 7th to 8th grade, I think was the last time. I can remember the last few Joes that I got. The last 3 Joes that I got were Big Boa, Jinx, and Psych-Out. Those were my last 3 Joes, and we got them going on vacation. We were like in another state, and I remember getting them just to play with on the trip. And then I came back and, I had a birthday party with my friends, and they were all like, oh, we don't play with toys anymore. So, me being that person, I just gave up my toys. And then I started working out, and I spent the rest of that summer lifting weights and, gained 25 pounds and started getting attention in not a good way.
People thought you were older. Like, hey, where's your card? Let me see some ID.
Yeah. So I kind of did that for, and I picked up, like I said, that was probably the last time that I was collecting toys as a kid. And then Power of the Force brought me back.
Okay.
With that first set of Power of the Force figures, I was done for a while.
Dude,
I went crazy on those.
My dad collected the episode 1 line, and like I still wasn't collecting, but he was. So my dad, I'm a second generation geek, and he still has his episode 1 figures. I'm like, you're not gonna still mint on card. I'm like, you could sell those, pops. You can sell them. He's like, no, they're mine. I'm like,
sadly, that was I collected all those, and then I got into like Exo Squad, and
I love Exo Squad. Do you still have those, man?
I do not.
Okay.
We sold them, I don't know, several years ago. I wasn't collecting at the time, so it didn't seem like a big deal to me to get rid of them. I had given up when I graduated high school. I had to give up most of my collection.
Okay.
We didn't have room where we were going while I was in college, and then I kind of gave it up. I gave up those toys. I had my Thundercats with the Cat's Lair, Feliner, Thunder Tank, all of the Thundercats, most of the villains. And then Silverhawks, Transformers, all of my Motu. I had Snake Mountain, I had Fright Zone, I had Slime Pit, I had it all.
You had it all. Yeah.
So, all of that got donated. So the only thing that stayed was my Star Wars toys and my G.I. Joe. Now, my Star Wars toys made it through completely until April of last year, where I sold them. And I had a 12-inch Boba Fett complete with the box, with the inserts, with the stuff. I was that weird kid.
That's not weird.
Now, you have to understand, that was done in 79, so I was 5 years old when that's
dedication.
So I had that. I had a Chewbacca the same way. I had a Millennium Falcon that I just had the box for, but I still had all the pieces.
All right.
And they were well cared for. But I sold them to start the rest of my collection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what we do. We curate. You know, you were talking earlier in our, chat beforehand about, selling stuff and curating out. And I think we have to do that, but that's kind of life in and of itself. We kind of move things out that we don't find that bring us happiness anymore.
I'm finding that I'm doing that now. So my collection's a lot different than it was in 2020 or even 2021. The only thing that's staying constant is the Joes, but I'm looking at other things to offload. They serve their purpose for the time.
One of the things is that when I buy something, I get that momentary rush of buying it, right? Mm-hmm. I get that dopamine kick. And then it comes in and I'm looking at it and sometimes I'm like, why did I buy this?
Why did I buy this?
You said, the pulse, there's something about clearance. Clearance is my true weakness.
Yeah.
I've been proud of myself this week because I went to the store Thursday. Uh-huh. I had to go to the store to pick up some groceries.
Yeah.
So I was at Target. Now Target clearance is my kryptonite. Like seriously, my kryptonite. Mm-hmm. And I go see, and there's the Guardians of the Galaxy figures, and they're on for 12 and 7, and Then there's an Ocean Master just sitting there.
Yep.
For $10, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need it.
Yeah. I had it in my hand. Punchers, or was it the purple one?
It was a purple one. It was the gold label.
I was the same thing. It's like I saw it. I was
looking at him, and I'm just like, I don't need them.
No, we were just talking about paying bills. I paid hella bills today, man. I'm not buying a damn thing, man. I don't care.
I didn't need him. He's not something that I needed in my collection. Does that
exactly?
There's a lot of my McFarlanes that I bought for $6, $7, $8 a shot, but I don't need them in my collection because they don't make sense for what I said. I said it needs to be Legion of Doom, Super Friends, that kind of, and Bat Family figures.
Yeah.
Beyond that, anything else that I bought is just I bought it because it was clearanced. I've had to fight myself with that recently because I keep doing that.
So when you talking about fighting yourself, I can sometimes feel hopefully it's not like, I'm not going to speak ill to myself, but I can feel like the neural burn of fighting the temptation to be like, yo, it's on sale. Like I buy stuff from Amazon and I'll use Amazon Day because it gives me extra time to think if I want it and then I'll cancel it. I'm lucky enough that I live down the street from like an Amazon Fresh or like a Whole Foods. So I'll just take stuff back. I was getting stuff from the Mattel Lightyear line. We're talking $5 or $6. The truck, some of the robots. But even then, it's like, nope, I don't need these. I might as well just buy Hot Pockets rather than buy this. Yeah. So it was just, it's like I'm not at the point now anymore, no matter how cheap it is, to buy something for the sake of buying it. There's some great questions.
That's kind of what I was doing with the Ocean Master. It would have been buying it just to buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I wanted it, not that I needed it, not that it was something that was going to make me feel better.
Yeah.
Because it was just there. It was on sale or clearance, and I would just like maybe.
The curiosity of it wasn't.
It tricks you in the head where it's like that. Right. Ooh, that price is great, but then I'm like, no. Then I was like, maybe when it hits $6, maybe we'll go there.
Something like that, like a fire sale. I did that for the last What If wave. So Zombie Scarlet Witch and all those. Like I got for like $7 or $8 from Target. But I haven't opened them. I haven't done anything with them. I haven't even finished the Build-A-Figure from that wave. So why did I get them? Because if you still get 4 or 5 figures at $7 or $8 a piece, that's still $40. That's still $50.
Yeah.
I can still go towards
something else that you do.
One of these, So, and I'm gonna open these, man. The art. Sorry, don't let me get sidetracked. I'm like, squirrel, flaming.
Okay, but here's the other thing though: is if we buy those figures, sometimes we can use them as custom parts. So that's the other thing that goes through my head. Yeah, I can buy this figure; it's cheap, and if I screw it up, I don't feel bad about it.
Exactly. That Gamer First Captain America was like, I want to say $15. And then there was like a stealth one that I got. And I ended up using that head sculpt because it came with an unmasked Steve Rogers head sculpt from the Marvel's PlayStation Avengers, the fake Avengers. But yeah, you can always use other things. You can always use other parts. Be resourceful.
So Brick is asking a question. Before we sell toys, do either of you make sure you take photos or video of it to sort of document your collection? Actually, Brick, there is on my Instagram photos of my Star Wars collection. Not all of it, but a good portion of it before I sold it, because I took it with the intent to keep it. I know I have it on my computer now, but I made sure that I documented what all I had so that in my head at some point, if I really wanted to go back and think about it, because I mean, I had an AT-AT, I had, snow speeders, I had, an extra Millennium Falcon, I had, X-Wings, I had B-Wings, I'm one of those people that, when I sold it, I still wanted to hold on to it, but I just didn't need it anymore.
Right.
I have enough long boxes in my garage to kill a small mammal. So
it's like I do struggle with OCD. Like I'm actually in therapy, so I have things that I work on to combat OCD and whatnot. I'm not on a medicine regimen, not yet. I've been able to holistically deal with it. But so part of things is like if I just don't need it, like then it won't pester me too much. So I didn't buy those droves early from Command Store, CMD Store, or Toy Snowman. I have friends overseas, and they're like, "Hey, man, I'll send this." Like, no, you don't need this because it's just going to lead to worse things. That kind of thing. So, like, I'll wait. I'll wait on Amazon. I'll wait on Entertainment Earth. It's fine. I have a lot to keep me busy. I've been looking forward to cracking open these Hiya toys, for example, or any of these other things. So I'm glad to be really launching the YouTube channel because it gives me an excuse to just experience these things and then document it that way. But as far as like taking pictures before selling stuff, just because it was mine, like it was my toy. I wanted to buy it, and not just for the listings for the eBay post, but just to commemorate it, be like, oh yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that would have been nice. But as like you were saying, it's curiosity or go ahead.
Yeah, it's getting that momentary hit of dopamine that I bought this. This was cool. I'm good with it. I let it go because I don't need it anymore.
Right.
I thought I needed it, but the thing with toys is that I think with a lot of the stuff, it's not stuff that we need, but it's stuff that we want.
Exactly.
And we want it because we have some type of emotional attachment to it. We have that complexity of behaviors. See?
But this is a want.
This is a want.
It's just a want, right?
But it's personal to you, right?
Right.
There's an attachment there, right? So, I mean, it's one of those things that we do with toys. I think toys, because there's that extra sense, that tactile sense, because, we see it. We hear in our heads, the cartoons or the movies or whatever it is. And then we get that extra sensation of tactilely playing with toys and doing all the setting up and all of that extra stuff that creates an interesting thing. Now, Star brings up a question, but we'll come back to this question because it actually mirrors a question that I actually asked. So we'll get to that one in a second, Star. I got you. So is there anything that you don't do with your toys now that you'd like to do?
Yes. There are times where I would love to build dioramas. I do not have the space to build permanent dioramas. So if I make something using 12 World props, I love getting 12 World from Big Bad Toy Store or eBay. I will build a diorama, take some photos, maybe shoot some video to put onto Instagram, and then I have to tear it all back down again. So I would love to build just that diorama scale model and just leave it, whether it's Cobra Command Center or the Bat Cave or that kind of stuff. I need a house. I probably need to move from Los Angeles. And it would be easy to do. I'll just lie to my friends and be like, yeah, man, I'm still in LA. We want to get something to eat later.
Yeah.
I'm in Massachusetts.
We have to move out of that area.
Yeah. Where there's no income tax. But anyway, that's what I would need. I would need a toy room that's just dedicated to like large,
Trust me,
sprawling.
even having a toy room isn't enough, man.
No, okay,
No, my collection is now migrated into my bedroom.
wow, yeah,
So, and honestly, this literally every toy that I own right now, with there's stuff that's in the garage that's in buckets from. I let my son open all of my X-Men Toy Biz 90s X-Men Toy Biz stuff that I kept on card a few years ago, and then all of my Spawn and McFarlane stuff that I had from that period too. I just let him open that up and play with it because it wasn't worth much. There's no reason to keep it on card anymore. I wasn't doing that type of collecting at the time, so I let him open them all up and play with them. Those are in bins, but everything else is out somewhere, or in a closet. And I got a new shelf, and I'm loving the shelf. It's 16 inches deep.
okay,
Beats a bookcase.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. It's modular. I can adjust it any way that I want. So I'm probably gonna end up getting another one of those just to set up another, 5-6 shelves.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna need it with his tank coming in.
And it sounds like it's not like an IKEA thing. It's not like a shallow.
No, it's Kepsul, Kepsuul, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
But
So it sounds like dedicated. It's something you can do a lot with.
Yeah, something that I can actually connect it to another one if I wanted to, and I can wrap it around. It's not enclosed because I can't have glass cases because of my son.
Yeah.
So I have to have open. But I've got some more foam board, and what I'm going to do is line the sides with foam board, and then I'll have what I do with my backdrops is I get Amazon has these terrarium backdrops that you can get. Yeah. And I spray glue them to the foam board, and then I put those in the back, and then in bottoms I can do whatever I want. I can get some board and do some.
That's a lot cheaper than what I wanted to do. There's a website, Living the Adventure Dios, on Facebook, and there's also 3D Dios, joedios.com. And I wanted to get these pictures and print them out on cardstock. And then on the cardstock, put those in the background of a bookshelf, a toy shelf, and then get lights, like little LED lights or something like that, to light it up and stuff. But what you're talking about, one, cheaper, two, sturdier.
It's one of those things that I started when that's how I did my photography at first. Is I would get a standard size foam board piece. They're a couple bucks. Those terrarium backdrops, they're $7 to $20.
Right.
Depending on what you want to get and how
cheaper than printing it out yourself. Yes.
Yeah, and you just have to lightly iron them when you get them in because they fold them up.
Okay.
And then it's not that big of a deal, but it is a cheap backdrop for displays.
That's great.
So it's one of those things that I'm going to spend my money on toys, but I'm not going to be. I'll go out and pick up sticks in the backyard to put it into the diorama.
I mean, so many of us. I mean, that's definitely the toy kind of mood ethos, man. So much of our money goes towards the toys. Like we skate on a lot of charm, because we're not spending money on thumbnails or lavalier mics or green screens or any of that.
No, I got my $5 Five Below mic right here.
Right, exactly.
Just fine. I am not spending. I don't have to spend the money in areas where I don't need it.
Right.
Because where dials are concerned, I'm going to go as cheap as I can. I mean, I'm still going to get the foam, the insulation foam to do the basic. If I want to do groundwork and stuff like that, where I want to make like a wall or a stone wall, but I keep all of the inserts from my Masterverse figures that I open, and I can cut those up and make brick walls out of them. Right. Make them look like a castle. I just would have to now I have a 3D printer, so I can make little light fixtures and stick a little LED in it, and then I'll have some torches and some stuff like that. So I'm all about trying to find ways to be cheap and fiscal.
Yeah.
Because my toys are not fiscally responsible. But
I felt a lot better before I started collecting Mythic Legions. Let's put it that way.
It hurts. It hurts. It does. Cosmic Legions is going to hurt too.
Okay,
I
I'm
went
gonna
all
have
in on
to.
wave 3. I got 2 from wave 2, and I'm probably going to have to go back because I wasn't collecting when wave 1 was solicited.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those where I can't go back and have hindsight on it. But wave 2, I got the 2 that I really wanted, but I'm probably going to end up getting a couple from wave 1.
Okay. Yeah, I had to admire from afar, man. They look. I love that pulp, old school '30s retro aesthetic. Like I love that stuff, and they hit it right on the head. The soft goods, the accessories. There's a couple of people like Crashbox Customs, where they make fantastic dioramas, and I was like, I would love to get one of those alien jail cells. I actually have a couple of extreme sets I got in anticipation of Cosmic Legions, and now that's just going to have to wait because
Yeah.
I got to save my money.
Well, you got to make choices. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so your favorite line. Let's talk about favorite lines. Let's go through. Let's give a rank of the top 3 for you.
Okay.
And then kind of give me the reason why, one, they're ranked that way.
Okay.
And 2, why number 1 is G.I. Joe.
I guess, yeah. Let's start with number 3. Let's start with number 3. So it would have to be DC Multiverse. One, the value. The value is fantastic. At first, when I hold on a second. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
All right, good. So I have in my hands the Injustice Batman, just for an example, because I was shooting a review for that. But yeah, at first I was like, these are cheap as hell. These are grocery store figures. I don't like these. I don't like the capes. But the capes grew on me. Like having it being molded like this is like they're more statuette than action figure. Yeah. They're not hyper articulated like SHF or even some of the.
Yeah, my biggest issue with them is the ankles. They don't really support the weight very well.
You have to use the stands. You have to use.
Can't get around it.
You have to.
Yeah, no.
But just the sculpting's there. It's like once you get past the problem solving of the diaphragm and the diaper, no thigh swivel, unless they're driving motorcycles like Death Metal Batman or the Flash, Batfleck, that kind of thing, right? But usually, I mean, as long as you get them on sale, like I wouldn't pay $30. Sometimes when they go out of print, that's when the prices go up, right? Yeah. So like that gold label Kid Flash, like that's up. I was able to get like one of the last ones from the store before, and it was on sale, right? Yeah. But now it's not. But like they do a decent enough job with the face sculpt.
Yeah, most of the time. Not always. There's some.
Not always. But for the value, like I ended up getting this on sale, right? The Injustice wave was on sale. The Black Adam Page Punchers wave was on sale. Like Constantine was on sale. Thank you very much, Thanos. I appreciate that, buddy. And sometimes you only get one fist, one open hand. So you get what you pay for. But as long as you can save money and get them at the right price, then I have like Solomon Grundy. I have the Catwoman, who's fantastic. I have like the Arkham City Catwoman and the retro purple Catwoman. I got the Endless Winter Wave. Like that was $10 a piece from Entertainment Earth. So
I got the Death Metal. I think they were $7 a piece.
Yeah. So
I like the Superman for that one. I do. I don't know why. I can't explain it. It makes no sense.
That Black Adam Page Puncher Superman is flat out Superman lives Superman. I'm this close to getting a Brandon Ruth head sculpt to go with it. But okay, verbalize it. Why is that your Superman?
It's not necessarily my Superman, but I just dug it. There's something about the long hair and the just disheveled look and looks beat, To me, Superman should be the guy that's coming from below instead of the guy that's super powered and always, he's always been a deus ex machina for everything. And I hate that aspect of Superman. I want him to be an underdog.
All right.
So when, the death of Superman, that was a great storyline. It brought the aspects of him being a hero and sacrificing. Because if the guy's never really in danger, it's really hard to create that tension. And that you have to have that hero's journey where that tension is there. He has to lose everything.
They did something interesting with Snyderverse. I'm a big Snyderverse fan. I don't want to irritate anyone in the chat. Like Man of Steel was interesting because he was a Superman that wasn't ready to be Superman. He didn't really want to accept the responsibility. It was kind of hoisted upon him. And it was like day one Superman. Like he didn't know what he was doing. Like that fight with Zod leveled half of Metropolis, right? Yeah. And then by the time you get to Dawn of Justice, he, you know, like that was like the Doomsday story. So like the first movie is day one, Dawn of Justice, he dies. And then you have Snyder Cut, and they did a much better job of like the painstaking process it took to resurrect Superman and whatnot. It was, for me, if you take the Ultimate Edition of Dawn of Justice and Snyder Cut and combine that with Man of Steel, it's a beautiful sweep. And like it kind of hurts to see what the DC movies have become now. Like I won't speak ill of Black Adam or The Flash.
It is what it is. I mean, that's why they're rebooting. They know they made some missteps, and the thing
but they have to be patient. I was like one of the few people who went to bat for Dawn of Justice. It's like just wait, like this is like just let the man do his thing. And that dude went through hell and back with his family and everything else, and came back and still finished that movie. So for me, there's a beautiful sweep for something like Man of Steel and whatnot. That whole Snyderverse, in a metatextual sense, is an underdog.
Yeah,
you know, and it didn't last. But a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts. Where did I get that from? I guess that's from the Vision, right? Yeah, I got that. That's solely from WandaVision.
You're totally mixing your superhero multiverses.
Yeah. It's but it's just a good story, and I think that's what speaks to me. That's why the aesthetic speaks to me. I'm not buying $10,000 full scale busts of Snyder Cut Batman and Superman, right?
Yeah,
but I admire the aesthetic. I admire the aesthetic of it. So that's why I dig multiverse. And I guess really quick, I guess line number 2 would have to be, it was Marvel Legends for the longest time, but I guess that's going to go back to Star Wars Black Series because I still play with those figures. I still play with Luke and Darth Vader and the Ewoks and the Stormtroopers. I'll build those dioramas and then break them back down because I have no space. But I just love Star Wars. I just something about the world and universe of that speaks to me. I'll go back and I'll rewatch the movies. I'll rewatch the shows, you know? So for me, like I still have Galaxy's Edge lightsabers and stuff like that. I was collecting those. I didn't get the Force FX stuff, even when they're on sale, and they're a great price, but I had to draw the line somewhere. When I'm at Galaxy's Edge, that lightsaber kind of is like a keepsake of my time that I was there, right? I don't know. I didn't send you the one that I had like with Darth Maul, did I?
I don't believe so. But we can get into that. We can get into your stuff here if you want to.
Yeah, but long story short, it was so with the Joes, my dad's retired Army. My mom, God rest her soul, was one of 14. My dad is one of 9. So I have a big family, and a lot of them are military. So I took the ASVAB. I got a great score on it. I thought I was going to go JROTC, and I just decided not to. And you know, maybe that was the right choice. But I still respect the servicemen and women in my family. I keep my collection as is. When I sell things, it's usually excess. So if I had 8 red ninjas, I'll sell 4 of them. If I had a dozen bats, I'll sell 8 of them. That kind of thing, right? And I'll just keep, you know, just a shining beacon of what that collection represented to me. And that's good enough for me.
Okay. So we're going to get into your stuff that you sent me. And one of the things that you put in there was your affirmation. And it's kind of appropriate to what you just kind of were referencing. Let's just rock what I got. That's kind of it's a good philosophy. It's, you know, you got to work with whatever you got. It is what it is.
I want to show you a photo that leads right into that.
All right, hang on. Give me a second. My mouse is having a moment. Come on, get back over here. There you go.
Yeah.
Let me show real quick.
The top portion is me junior year, right when episode 1 came out. And then the bottom was me at Galaxy's Edge, January 2020, right before the pandemic. Got the Maul Saber, and it was so that Maul Saber was like represented, that last great timeout before shutdown happened.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't buy a whole bunch of different Force Effects lightsabers. I didn't buy the Leia lightsaber. I didn't get this one or that one. The Force Effects, they make great stuff, but I'm good with that Maul saber. And I did a build a saber thing that they did at the workshop, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
If I have something that represents something golden to me, then that's good enough, right? If I were to just stop my G.I. Joe collection today, Classified series will always be the line that got me out of the house, that made me less afraid of the virus, that gave me something to want more than being afraid of COVID, that I was able to meet Fixer and Travis and this person and that person because I was out toy hunting.
Yeah.
And I'll always be grateful for that. So, and then on top of that, the last time I played with my older brother, we were playing G.I. Joes, right? I mean, he's, a grown man now, so we don't play toys together or anything like that. But, and he's about 5 years older than me. So that was like the last time that we were both kids together, was like playing G.I. Joes, reenacting like episodes and stuff like that, right? So when I'm like shelling out extra bucks on eBay for Joes, or if I'm like, oh man, I got to get that figure, or I got to get this, blah, blah, I got to make this, right? That's kind of what that is. It's just like reenacting that stuff, going back to the theaters and watching G.I. Joe the movie, that kind of stuff. It's just like reconnecting to a sweeter time, when things were simpler, and I could just let my imagination run wild again. So Classified series is the chief line that lets me do that.
So it's letting you kind of, it's using it as a coping skill. It's using it to manage stress. It's, for you, it seemed like it's something that allows you to connect with that inner KJ.
Yeah.
The little KJ.
I like to think little KJ would be proud of this. He'd probably be confused by, why aren't we rich again? I thought we would be rich by now. It's like, listen, first off, toys. All right. Second of all,
I don't think it's the toys that are not making you rich.
Yeah.
I mean, although modern toys, when you sell them, you can get at least a somewhat of a return.
If it wasn't, I had a big Lego collection. I sold a lot of that stuff, and it helped out a lot.
Like Lego, for whatever reason, most of the Lego stuff appreciates. It doesn't depreciate. Yeah,
it's crazy. I sold a Sanctum Sanctorum Lego that helped me make rent 1 month. I was like, okay.
All right, so we're gonna go through your stuff that you sent me. I've kind of got it walled off here and there. I created an extra file for the ones that are other people's custom.
Did I overdo it? I feel like I overdid it a little bit.
No, you're fine. You haven't seen the files that I would send somebody else, so you're fine.
Okay.
Mine might actually be about 4 times what yours is, so we're good. We're good.
All right.
So obviously,
that is the rule.
All 4 of the guys in the back are customs, right?
So what?
The guys in the back of this one are all customs, right? Because I don't remember these.
They are actually called wild cards from Fortnite. McFarlane had the Fortnite license.
Okay.
And then it went to Jazzwares, and then it went to Hasbro. So these were dirt cheap, $10 a piece. There was a red edition that came with the hearts and diamonds, and a black edition that came with the clubs and the spades. So all I needed was one of the reds, because it had both of the red head sculpts, and then I just got 3 of the black ones. $10 a piece. So yes, that's a Royal Flush game, or at least I recast Fortnite wild cards as Royal Flush.
And it works.
Yeah,
I just didn't recognize the figure, so I was like, maybe those are customs.
Because no, these are just from Fortnite. They're just from Fortnite. I did add Mezco weapons. Yes, that one. That's a lot of fun.
I like the leather coat. It's obviously wired.
Yeah.
I have this in my pile of loot. I haven't shipped it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to it. And that's obviously the Batfleck cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is actually a still from one of the first videos I did for Black English YouTube. I experienced technical snafu when I uploaded them to YouTube. So I had to re-render that opening salvo of videos. Otherwise, it'd be live right now.
You did? How many did you try to load at the same time?
No. I did about 5 of them, right?
No.
So there's something happened with the frame rate where it started getting like kind of stuttering. Like in this is a great figure.
Yeah, I know. It has those moments.
Let's redo those, right? So
yeah. So it's like, oh, that didn't work. Yeah,
but it's all
been there, done that.
Yeah.
Now you know why I do lives.
Romo is right. Those Blade Mac 10s are from Arsenal of Pew Pews, formerly known as Phoenix Lights, on Mercari and on eBay.
I think they're on Etsy too, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
good guys.
I have seen their stuff.
It's cool. That one, I actually have this one right by me. So this is the Damon mashup AK, based off of the weapon that Matt Damon used in Elysium. But since it was futuristic enough, and Blade's kind of futuristic, his stuff is kind of futuristic. So I just gave that to Blade. And it's like, yep, server bullet AK. Here you go.
I'm really digging that sculpt on it. I haven't been, like I said, I haven't. He's been sitting there for about a month. No, I'm sorry. He's been sitting there for 45 days.
Okay.
So I really need to ship mine out so that I can open him and play with him. Because, Blade's one of my favorite.
And this represents...
Give me Midnight Suns and I'm good all day.
This is the last time that I played. So, that's me posing, me taking photos and whatnot. So I would do the review and I would talk about some different things. When you record, I use my iPhone to record the videos. And you can press, a white button on it to take snapshots as you record. But it's not as good as using the camera. So I found that I would usually have to stop recording and then take photos with just the camera as is. And that's how I got great lighting and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun. So that video turned out great, if not for the weird stuttering effects that I had to re-render. Ugh.
So in the background, I'm assuming, is this Extreme set?
Extreme sets, yes.
All right. This scale, it's a little better. The Legends, they don't look right with that.
No, with the Legends, you have to, if you have the ladies, then that kind of helps. But it's usually for bigger figures.
But it works better for the McFarlane because the scale is right. Just it's close enough.
Yeah, well, it's 110. It's a little bit bigger than 110 scale, if I'm being honest. Yeah,
it is. My daughter had one of those growing up, so but we don't have it anymore. We sold it in the garage sale a long time ago.
But Romo once again put me onto this. I bought it at 40. Then it went down to 30. Then it went down to 20.
Yeah. It never fails. Well, it's because there was a brief time right when that, the Hell Charger was, you could see that the people were out there buying them and then scalping them.
Yeah.
People were buying it. All right, Captain Carter, some Hydra. I love this pose. It's cool.
Yeah. So once again, the play. That's the level of play that I'm at right now.
But that's the way we should be doing it. I mean, we should be playing with these toys.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I have both. Yes, I can say that I have the tendency to put stuff on the wall, but the stuff on the wall is very intentional and it's there because when I walk in that room, I want to be taken back to that toy aisle at Toys R Us as a kid, where it was toys, both sides of that aisle, all the way down. I mean, I can remember long aisles with those toys.
Dude, I went back to Macy's. Macy's have Toys R Us kiosks now. I got emotional, dude.
But it's not the same. There was something. The last time that I was in a Toys R Us, and when it was a Toys R Us, they had weird setups. They had 4 ways instead of a full aisle. I'm talking about the old Toys R Us where you would walk in and it was you had that area where you walked around, and then you went in, and then everything else was in straight aisles all the way down, and there was a break in the middle somewhere, and there was toys literally everywhere on every peg, and you could. I mean, it didn't feel like it was shortchanged.
You gotta find those moments where you can. I'm grateful to be in a place like Los Angeles. We have Frankenstein's collectible shows. There's swap meets. There's places where you can go buy toys. Basically, we had PowerCon in LA for the longest time before it went to Ohio, but we have
San Diego Comic-Con, so you got all that stuff by you. Yeah,
you got to find those places where you're at. Sometimes I'll go to Burlington Coat Factory, and they'll have toys. Ross, Marshalls, right? They have Ollie's back east, and
we have an Ollie's here, but unfortunately, no motorboats. I had to get this from Amazon.
Are you gonna paint that? What you gonna do, man?
I guess this.
What you gonna do?
Actually, what I'm thinking of doing is I got a STL file for a moccasin. I'm gonna probably try to scale it up and cut it and slice it so I can get it to where this will actually slide. The back of the moccasin will slide onto this, and I'll be able to just use it as a shell. I'm gonna try it. We'll see how it works.
Gun Bunny, he's turning that sucker into a moccasin.
Yeah, he's doing it with styrene. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Shout out to Toy Gigante. He uses styrene all the time. You can use styrene sheets and panels to accentuate vehicles that you can get for cheap, right? To arrive at a close silhouette, right? So like if you have like a Jeep, you can use styrene to get it closer to that Lamborghini Cheetah look the Vamp has, like that kind of stuff, right?
So yeah, that's what I'm going to try. We'll see. It may be a little more. I mean, I got some calipers and some other stuff, so I can do precise measurements, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
But in worst case scenario, it'll be painted. Best case scenario, it'll be it'll look for it'll look like a water moccasin when I'm done.
Man. No, it's gonna be dope. Do you use spray cans or airbrush system, or do you hand paint?
Most of mine is hand paint.
Okay.
My primer. I'll generally get Mr. Resurfacer.
Yeah.
And I'll use that as the primer. And the rest is Vallejo for the most part. I've got a couple Citadels. I'm just not overly, but I did get get the speed paint. I'm kind of liking it, but I'm not sure about the coloring.
Try. I swear by Vallejo. I know people.
No, that's all I got. Most 90% of my stuff is Vallejo, but I got some speed paints just to try them. I am impressed with how they look finished, because then I don't really have to go back and do washes and stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, the color variety is a little bit, for me, it's a little bland, and it's quite a bit more than Vallejo. So
are you going to try to do like a gradient or striation? Do you do layering or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I do some layering on stuff, but it's the recent Ram cycle that I did for the ground.
That looked great, by the way. Yeah,
I went ahead and grimed it up at the end just to give it a little bit before I put on the water slides.
Do you use simulation grime, like washes and effects, or do you use dirt?
Usually it's just washes or dry brush. One of those two, depending on which one I want to mess with.
Yeah.
The dry brush is my preferred technique, just because you can get a little bit more spread with it, and it get a little bit more. But like if there's specific areas that I want to do grime on, I'll do a light wash with it, or I'll do some pull out some browns and some blacks, just barely touch it, and then rub it with my finger a little bit.
All right.
As long as I'm not going into a detail area, it's usually good. So here's another picture. This is obviously Ultron's Captain.
Yeah.
Captain Carter. Now, you and I think a lot alike on those, because you
gave me the idea. Look, man, I came up with that idea independently. Gil Tucker took those and painted them in the Collectors Club colors. So, and I didn't. But that's really
if you want to, you can take the stripes off with some Winsor Newton.
Winsor Newton, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, that's one of those things that it didn't bother me that they had. I just wanted them to look the same, so it didn't really matter if it was white and yellow, white shirt and yellow tie. That didn't bother
I
me.
dig it. This really feels like the business suit version of their Cobra uniforms.
Yeah.
It's blue and it's red. Yeah.
Son's coming out to play with the dog, I guess.
All good. Yeah. Yeah, but that I had used that Stacy Keibler from WWE, and then I put the skin tone doesn't match, but with using filters, then I can sort of get away.
Did you see Fairy's?
I saw Ruben's.
Where he used the Sharon or the not Sharon. What's her name? Peggy Carter.
Yes, sort of the disguise from the pilot from the first episode. Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. I almost
cool.
thought about doing it. Now this is mostly gridiron on this.
That's gridiron. That's the gridiron minigun and the skull mask, and that's a tribute to a figure that Ruben had cooked up. So Mark Buncannon had done a tribute kit to that figure, and it's super dope. So I was like, yeah, I need to do that.
Now this is just your regular fit. You did something with the cape though? You painted it.
I didn't. No. It's not a lot of it's not really customs. It's that one that has the gridiron. This just has the gridiron rifle. That's it. Like that's just.
Is it really that bright?
Huh?
I said, was the cape really that bright? I haven't pulled I had two Pimp Daddies, so one.
Yeah, so you're probably not using that cape with the Pimp Daddy, right? So.
No, I will be for my Iron Grenadiers, except it's paint. The hands are now, the animal hands are gold.
Yeah.
The thing is yellow. The tail I'm probably going to do gold as well, but.
This might have a filter on it that's making it look brighter than it is. But I get what you're saying. And honestly, I would feel like soft goods. I need to put a soft goods on my Pimp Daddy. That's right.
I thought about it, but then I was like, I want that kind of gold chain going across him. But, I mean, I can understand why we would really want it to be a single side cape anyway, because that's the way, kind of how it was supposed to be for the original.
Yeah.
This Punisher.
This is gridiron. That Viper has a Viper loadout, and then the Punisher has an M14 with the bayonet.
And that's another extreme set?
Yeah, extreme set. That's like it's supposed to be the Bat Cave, but you can use it for anything. And it has an extreme set floor, so that kind of stuff. That one, so this is the one that sort of brought me out of retirement. I won't be a part of Cobra Convergence this year, but when the Toy Kind of Mood dudes, we did Cobra Convergence last year, so I put together a diorama and I just uploaded as much Gridiron and Jay's Armory and as much as possible, and just wanted to do like my own version of a comic book cover. And they're like firing at Joe's, and it's great. And these are from Mark II Design. So helmets, the jump jets, but Cobra jump jets with decals in the back, using Iron Man blast effects for the exhaust. So yeah, like that's once again, that's the new level of play. So it's not just having the figure. It's like, what can I do to this? What can I do with this? And you can do a lot, man. It's great. That was a lot of fun.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that setup.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I need to do an update. So once again, I moved to a new apartment about a few months ago. So I'm still clearing stuff out and setting stuff up. So I don't have the play areas I would like right now. I'm still doing reviews for Black Genghis, and I have a small cordoned area off for that. But whenever I can, it was just too dope not to put together. Crimson stubby minigun with the crimson bat. I have the Python Patrol bat. I want to put that on top. But once I get that Arctic bat, the Arctic bat head sculpt on that with the stubby, so dope. So I do digital customs. And when I do digital customs, that allows me to to have a gameplay of how I'm going to do that for that Baroness. So for those chrome effects, I have Molotov liquid chrome markers.
Yeah.
With liquid chrome, you have to let it cure for a week. So you would have to cover it in like a plastic case or a glass case or something like that so that it cures. So I would put it on the figure stand so it could stand up right as it cures. But I have 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 5 millimeter. You do that, it stays put. And they were geniuses how they tooled these up, because having those details, having those raised ridges, paint will stay, right? The chrome will stay. So chroming it's no problem. Painting it crimson's no problem. Doing the ribs, doing the insignia. It's red. I'm trying so hard not to swear. I get so excited. It's red primer, red paint, liquid chrome. I'm done. That's my Crimson Baroness. And I need to do another Crimson Baroness so I can do it underwater. I have Mark Buchanan's Frogman set. Paint the flippers red, paint the scuba mask red, put that on the Baroness. Boom. And then
I love those markers. Those markers come in handy. I get acrylic markers every once in a while when I want to do detail works, like with my Pythona. To do all that detail work on her body, I had to use, because that brush work would have taken way too long and I didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
But I'm actually redoing that figure. I'm also redoing Naugahyde.
Nice.
So I get to the point where I'm happy with it, but then at the point I mess with it a little bit and I look at it a little bit, and then that nagging person in my head goes, "You can do better than that."
When I did my Crimson Cobra Commander, there it is. Romo just called it up. This was for a friend of mine who's also a customizer. So when I was finished with it, I handed it off to him so he could seal it and add whatever decals or whatever he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, this took a long time because I was so dissatisfied with the first part of it. I took a toothbrush and I started over. I started over from scratch. Basically.
Yeah, I like that what Tony was doing with the vinyl wrap.
Yeah.
For the face mask, now that he's given me that idea, it's making me kind of percolate a little bit on something.
The next time I do this, I do want to try that vinyl wrap for the chrome look, because that's going to be smoother than just doing liquid chrome on the face.
Yeah, and it doesn't really sit right sometimes.
Yeah.
So for detail areas, it works fine, but when you're doing a large area, because
it pulls up and it kind of it kind of ruins.
Well, I did that on the engine on my first two Dreadnought bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I used the liquid chrome on them, and it didn't sit right when you have a large surface area. It's
great
like
that
in detail area or small areas, but for whatever reason, doesn't quite work right. Now this is obviously work in progress.
And the next time I do this, I'm going to go full tilt, take out the pins, take out the joints, and then do those. Sand them down, paint them, varnish them, and then put it back together. And you can try to save the pegs. The last time I tried doing it, it didn't work. I had to use styrene rods instead, and it is what it is. I had to use Mod Podge to make up the difference. But next time, I'm just going to take the pins out, take the joints out, prep them, sand them, then paint them, and then it's ultimately easier that way.
I started using dye.
Okay.
For the joints.
Rit dye?
Synthetic Rit dye. Yeah.
Okay.
I found that that's kind of what's going to work for me. I don't feel comfortable slicing those pins out and then gluing them back in. Just to me, I've got a few customs that I did that with, and they're just not as stable.
Yeah. And the styrene rods, they come in concrete widths. Yeah. So sometimes they're not always going to match the peg size.
So the dye is what I've started using for my, like, if it's a figure that mostly has black, I'll get the black dye. If it's red, I'll try to get a red dye.
You boil the water, right? It has to be boiling hot.
No, I just let it soak.
Yeah, okay.
The plastic, the knees, the elbows, and the shoulder joints, at least the rings that connect in, that's where I worry about the coloration. It doesn't blend into the bigger pieces, but you can boil it. I don't do it. But I just let it sit in it for a couple weeks, and if they come out, the joints look great. And that's all I really worry about is the joint areas. And then when I paint them, I got gel super glue. Yeah. And a toothpick, and I'll just lightly cover the centerpiece and cover the two outside pieces. And that's kind of how I keep that paint from rubbing off now. Yeah. And these are all little things that if I hadn't met people that were customizing, I probably wouldn't have a clue what the hell I was doing, and I would just be messing it up a lot more.
I tell you, man, like I have a secret weapon, man. Giles Guilford, like that's my Snake Eyes. Like that's like if he was a Rashikagi, I'd have a tattoo for being his damn apprentice. So
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, the doc is a different breed of customizer because man, there's him and Stronach and there's some guys out there, and Ferry's great. I love Ferry's work too. So, but I'm not saying anything negative about him, but their work is amazing. Now this is where you got the three. Looks like John Walker heads, or is this cap heads?
Those are Walker cap heads.
Okay, because I got one of those that I was going to use that similar kind of thing for my Freds.
Yeah. Walker cap was super cheap. I got those, I want to say Kids Warehouse. They were like $5. I was like, all right, those are my Freds. At first I was going to get Quasar, but Quasar was too happy, right? But
Yeah,
Quasar,
it doesn't quite. Now, I like this digital thing that you did here. This is
thanks, man.
digital painted. I love this part. And you got obviously the digital painting of the figures. I'm hoping if they do them a little bit different.
People like the dark red. They like the dark red. I like my red to pop, man. Because if you remember a Crimson Cobra Commander from Sideshow Collectibles, like it was boom. Or even the original 3 3/4 figures, like it was a more brilliant red. But people
I want them to match the others, and I don't know that they'll. It'll look awkward if they're not kind of that crimson.
It's not the right crimson. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's my that's where my OCD will kick in. Not matching the reds. What?
Because when I started that Cobra Commander over, the red I used was too dark. It was almost black red. See what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I started over. It was like it wasn't red enough for me.
Yeah. So this is your custom for your Destro. Obviously, it's a
like I said,
kit.
I need to find a decal insignia for the belt for Cobra, and then
Bad Mother's Custom. You need to go on eBay. He has the gold Destro Iron Grenadier symbols. He also has Cobra symbols. He has them in white, has them in red. If you're gonna go on a black, you're going to have to put something on the backside that's going to make it highlight, because otherwise that water slide won't work or look right.
Yeah. I may have to paint it black and then add a gloss layer, and then, and Tony, I was like, hey, man, which one's set? Which one's soul again? It's like, yeah, this is number 1, and then this is number 2. I'm like, got it. And then also the Destro decal.
I got a bunch of those. So I bought every time I go to start a custom, I always go and see what he's got as far as water slides for that custom.
Yeah.
Or a custom that's like it. So I gotta get around to getting bricks and measurements and stuff. He's gonna give me some stuff for my G.I. Joe. He's got apparently a printer that does the water slide stuff or decals.
Yeah. I should do that for I had a bunch of Lightyear androids that I could have done for AIM Mandroids, or they came out in Crimson and they were like $7, and I could have made those Crimson Cobra droids. But I was just like, one project at a time, and right now that's YouTube.
Yeah, that's my problem too. I mean, you should see my garage. I've probably got 35 figures out there that are still boxed that are waiting to be customs of some type or another.
Yeah,
I bought them with the intent for them to be customs, but they're just like literally sitting in the box right now. It's just like
I use the Pomodoro techniques, and what the Pomodoro technique is, a time management system that breaks it down into little. It means little tomato, but you use little chunks. So whatever that chunk is, that's the work that I'm doing. That's the amount of time I'm spending. So when I was doing Black Genghis YouTube, I'm like, I'm spending 2 hours. 2 hours is up, move on to something else. If I'm doing stuff for Toy Kind of Mood's like an hour, 90 minutes. If I'm, writing something up or blah, blah, it's like, that's the amount of time I'm spending. And so that helps me because it just lets me put a chunk towards something else.
Yeah, my custom nights are usually Mondays and Wednesday nights when my wife's doing her live and after my son goes to bed, my youngest one. So obviously this is your doc.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you used Duke, but I'm assuming at the time we didn't have the other.
Right. No, this is 2020. So that's, once again, I borrowed Gil Tucker's recipe and did my own thing. Basically, he also cast Sam Jackson as his doc because I think we had the young Nick Fury figures from the Captain Marvel wave.
Yeah.
So I got that hat from Black Ops Toys.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where did the hat the hat come from?
So the thing about Joe in general, and I want to bring this up because, and Tony, he was on there today too. Ron Rudat had said he didn't like Wild Bill's hat from the painted models we got for Dragonfly because it was a blue hat and it's supposed to be a black hat. Air Cavalry, right now they have black hats. And the thing about the Joe team, they go from the toy, not the cartoon, not the show. They go directly from the toy. It's updating the toy. And not only that, but that hat was supposed to be a Civil War Union hat, basically.
Yep.
So it's supposed to be blue. And Ron Rudat did the damn sculpture sheets for the original Wild Bill back in 82. So he knows better. He knows that hat was blue in 82, in 83. So we look up to Ron Rudat. We look up to all the work he did, all the stuff that him and Bozigan and everyone else did for Real American Hero. And his opinion holds weight. And it's like, listen, man, like G.I. Joe is stronger than ever, better than ever. No movies, bad movies. And people are still buying the figs. Yeah. So you got to show support because people listen to him. And people will do like what Ron said and be like, that's the wrong hat. It's like, look, man, my dudes will get the hat from Overwatch Ultimates. We'll paint it black. Wild Bill's going to have a white hat. There are 18 Wild Bills. He's going to have a hat every color of the rainbow by the time they're done with it.
Well, right? I mean, that's the thing is we'll get multicolored guys at some point of this. You get the 12 versions of Snake Eyes plus the 26, pseudo versions of Snake Eyes in different colors. We'll get him in bright pink at some point, I'm sure. Just because they can, because we gotta homage the Night Force or the Ninja Force Technicolor Rainbow Vomit.
Right. We're gonna get Boy George, Snake Eyes.
There you go.
Timber in the shades and all that stuff. Breakdancing Snake Eyes. So these are cheat codes. I needed to Dremel out that hood head. So that's the screaming head sculpt from the hood. Okay. And I needed to Dremel it out. I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. And Grunt's coming out anyway. But I still like this for my classic retro style Grunt. I gave him the Stalker web gear for that classic look. And I put him on Beachhead because he had the same pouches and whatnot that original Grunt figure had. And I just to see how it would look really quickly, I just plucked it to the back of the head and then just put that head sculpt on top to see what it looked like.
I mean, it works. I mean, it's
bootleg, but just for
using some sticky tack. I mean, it's like the twins. You have to use the sticky tack on that.
Yeah,
on that head because those pegs don't fit, and I'm not pulling out the dumbbell just to switch it. It seems kind of wasteful.
Yeah.
Now this is a wave that you got, obviously.
Yeah.
Was this just one of those where you wanted to show the Build-A-Figure with the rest of the wave?
Yeah, there was a moment on Black Genghis where if I got a full wave, like what I was doing was I unboxed the wave on Instagram Live. So when I really started streaming, even before like doing a lot of stuff with Toy Kind of Mood, I was doing my own thing on Instagram. And I was unboxing and I was reviewing the figures and saying, I like this one, I don't like this one, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then I would put them all together, then take a picture, and then put that on Instagram. So this is one of those pictures.
Okay.
That was on
that's what I figured. There's another look at your distro. And now this is one where you just took the picture and it shows from front, right? You showed
so you go to the next one
on the side.
That one is a optical illusion. So because I put the probably the next one actually, but these are great figures. They're giving each other a fist bump. That's the head sculpt from Beltran Brothers. So that's a Don Cheadle head sculpt for War Machine. I love the Beltran Brothers work. I got a Spider-Punk head sculpt on the way. But that one, so SHF is undersized. SHF is 112, so it's smaller than Marvel Legends. And using sticky tack and putting that peg as far forward as possible, I was able to make it look like that head sculpt fit with the rest of the armor.
And sometimes all you do is you need to cheat it for a second or two, right? Because you just got to take a photo, so it don't really matter at that point.
Yeah. Jay Baltatron. I love toy art. So I love getting like these little one-offs and whatnot. And I actually got those blast effects to go with Scourge because they fit in those ports and it just looks badass. I couldn't find a picture of Scourge for you, but I still love that.
No. I was when I saw this, I was like, "What is this?" It's have a nice day.
Yeah.
Now here's just a team shot.
Yep. Just once again, so that's play for me. It's like I'll set up a photo, I'll put it on Instagram, and I'll have fun, right? Or a shout out to G.I. Joe Classified Elite. Shout out to Marauder Rubin, who's one of the admins. A shout out to Romo, who's also admins on Keep It 100. What else, Romo? What? Classified Collectors, 6-inch action figure community. Romo's a great dude. Shows a lot of love. People give the dude a lot of respect. He really took Toy Kind of Mood to a new level. As far as I'm concerned, he's like one of my favorites in the community. So when I do something for Facebook, for example, if I do something on Instagram, Romo's like one of the dudes I'm trying to make proud. That's just the truth. And
Cool.
I'm always seeing great stuff from these guys. I'm like, I can't compete with these guys, man. And it's like, that's not the point. Just do your own thing. I'm like, all right, fine. So let me do something like this. And that's
there's a phrase I want you to kind of, we'll call this homework for you, right?
Right.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it took me a long time to figure that out because I always tried to do that, and it didn't make me happy.
Yeah.
So now I stopped.
Yeah.
Because if I do that, I find that I'm just not where I need to be.
Yeah. When I'm doing Black Genghis YouTube, I'm not trying to be The Amazing. I'm not trying to be MCU Collector. I'm not trying to be any of these guys. It's just my vibe. It's just that. Yeah. So
I'm always gonna keep it 100 and be me.
Yeah.
If
exactly.
people like me, great. If they hate me, okay. My world isn't gonna end.
That's right.
But I'm hoping they enjoy talking to me. I'm hoping they enjoy what I'm giving as far as entertaining. But
yeah,
I'm not going to be not me.
No, that's 100%, man. Hey, I just rock what I got.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the toys. I'm talking like what's in here.
I'm going to be who I'm going to be.
Right.
People will love me or hate me. I'm not going to do anything to influence their opinion one way or the other.
Exactly.
If you like me, great. If you hate me, okay. My world ain't ending. I do like this. This was cool.
Just take the night off, Zartan.
Yeah. Apparently Zartan took care of his dog for him, huh?
Yeah.
Now here's your Joker with your 4 guys. That's cool.
Just more goofing off. You got to have the Joker. You're going to have the Ace, right?
And this is obviously your Steppenwolf with all of your
the Snyder Cut figs, yeah.
Yeah, except for the Green Lantern. But
he was in Snyder Cut. He was in it. Kind of.
Yeah. 3 seconds doesn't count, and only in one.
There's a deleted scene too, so yeah.
So sad. I mean, honestly, can we not get some Green Lantern love? Some good stuff.
I think they're going to do a good job with this show. They're going to do a whole show, and that's what they need to do.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works out.
So this is first part of Mount McFarlane. This is like before it just went into over.
Okay.
So this
and
is like
got
before
a Grim
now.
Knight, and you got
that Grim Knight. I bought that Grim Knight. I was like, I don't even know if I want Grim Knight. And I got it. I'm like, okay, this is dope. This is sick, right? And I love putting him like with gridiron stuff. I have McFarlane accessory packs.
One of the last figures that actually had guns.
Yeah. And then you see how it just ballooned. And now it's like even worse.
Yeah, that's a bit bigger, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the stuff I wasn't sure what it was or where it was. Is this just Dio pieces?
These are Dio pieces. This is from Prime Arcade. And Prime Arcade he co-hosts a podcast with figure fan Nate called The Figure Spot, or The Figure Booth. And it's a lot of fun. And they're just a really chill, great podcast. I highly recommend them. Project OG13 took my Instagram to the next level.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what this was because I don't think I've ever seen it. And I was curious.
These are still on my Instagram. So this is like, I want to say 2021. And so whenever I do so that rock and roll, I made that rock and roll. I used cable, I used Thunderstrike, and I made that rock and roll. And I used crossbones as well. The Hawk I never got around to. I wanted to use Milliput for the fur collar. I have an extra Alpha Commando Snake Eyes to paint Sunbow colors, but I may end up doing V4 instead.
Have you ever used epoxy sculpt? It works kind of the same way.
I have Milliput. I have Milliput, and Milliput is a type of epoxy. It's an acrylic epoxy. And there's green stuff. I haven't used green stuff. I have Milliput.
I use the epoxy sculpt. It works better, especially for things like fur, because I can use a metal brush.
Okay, nice. And what brand of epoxy?
It's just called epoxy sculpt.
Okay.
This is your wall of
I collect
carded figures. I'm assuming this is an old wall, not the current wall. But
not the current wall. I have to. Ooh. Not the current wall.
And here's the road pig you were talking about earlier.
Yes. So I still need to paint the Hero White with a white band. I have the gridiron set. So it has like the gridiron pads and whatnot that the original figure had. But I like that. I mean, yes, it's Warlord's fit, but it fits for me. Like that's Dreadnought. That's Dreadnought right there.
Well, and he needs to be bigger.
Yeah. Everyone's a critic. And there you see the rock and roll.
Yeah. Which is mostly Thunderstrike and
Crossbows, and I used a couple of elements from Cable as well.
I thought this was cool. I like this Dio setup. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Got your little brick sets over there, crushed with the bricks.
Yeah. And that's why I like the Lightyear stuff, because the yellow kind of fits with the Marvel Legends aim.
Yeah. I see it. I see what you're talking about. Now this is a Killmonger kit bash or some type.
Yeah, so I use this for my Stalker, but
okay.
And so I have a story time for the Eagle Moss thing. But I am proud of my Stalker. I'm still using that as my Stalker, and the other Stalker is just a retro Stalker as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, this was something else that was in there, and I was like, okay, what is?
So March 2020, pandemic happens, things start shutting down, things start closing. I had the flu. And at the time, I wasn't sure this was the flu. I thought this could have been COVID. I was freaking out. Like, I didn't sleep that night, that kind of thing. And it ended up just being the flu, not COVID. And I was relieved. I've never been so happy to have the flu. But at the time, I was also watching Star Trek Picard sort of to calm me down. And I was also watching Netflix at the time. So this is before Paramount Plus, CBS All Access. I had a lot of Trek content. You can still watch Star Trek on Netflix. And when the Deep Space Nine theme song came on, I got emotional. It just took me all the way back to just watching Star Trek as a kid. So I started collecting Eagle Moss. And Eagle Moss is no longer in service, man. It went bankrupt. Very sad. But I love the quality of it. And it's like it was something that I wanted so bad, and that just spoke to me, that represented something that calmed me at a time that I needed to be calm and needed to harken back to a better time and touch it. Like you said, have that tactile relationship with it.
Yeah.
I got Deep Space Nine, Enterprise D. I got the Discovery version of the Enterprise that you can see in Strange New Worlds. Defiant, right? I got all that stuff, right? And it's like one thing led to another, and now I have an even more expansive collection. But that was really, really the start of my pandemic era collection. So even though I had a couple of figures from Mandalorian and whatnot, once I got Eagle Moss, then it was nothing to get everything else.
Started the fire. Huh?
That was the fire. So I call this, you heard of the rise of Cobra. This is the fall of Cobra.
Okay. That's cool. I like it.
But like I said, I'll build a diorama, and I don't leave it up for long. I take photos and then I just put it up because I don't have the space to just leave it out like that.
Yeah. My intent with my stuff is I'm going to build the dios into the actual shelves so I don't have to. But if I was going to take pictures, I still got to keep dios somewhere else. So yeah, I get it.
And then
all right, here's your turtles.
Yeah. So the reason I got those, they were all on pegs and they were all together. If any one of those were missing, I wouldn't have gotten them.
It was an all or none thing.
It was all or none thing. They were all there. I got them all. And they were at a good price too. But on Amazon had them for like $40.
Now these are vintage turtles, right?
These are the vintage turtles. Yes,
that's what it said on the image. So this was all. Is this your vintage collection as a kid?
Yeah, this is my childhood collection from back home. This is a shout out to some of my favorite customizers. So Todd Yu, he's based out of Canada, and we send each other stuff sometimes. So he's my Canadian connect, but I don't need to grab stuff from him right now. I've sent him stuff and that kind of thing. Tony's Rumble, this is my favorite doc. He has the best doc I've seen. This one you said you kind of talked briefly, Bert, about Transformers with me earlier, but so this is just your Lambros. I love Transformers. I still have a lot of those Transformers still boxed up. Like I have Optimus, I have a premium finish Optimus. I have like some of the stuff from the Bumblebee movie. But I love collecting all the molds. So yeah, Sunstreaker I had to get from eBay, but then I got a bunch of the other ones, Sideswipe, Red Alert, all kinds. And so it's just great collecting those molds. And just like you saw with Inferno and Grapple and Road Hauler and Artfire. So but I had to slow it down. With Legacy, I wasn't there for Transformers Victory or Headmasters, that kind of stuff. Like the movie, it was kind of my series finale in a way. Mm-hmm. So once we got to the tail end of War for Cybertron trilogy, going through Studio Series 86, that was kind of it for me. Because I was buying stuff and being like, okay, yes, it's Transformers, but I don't even know who this Transformer is. The Golden Disc collection, I didn't need those, right?
Yeah.
And if you were a GoBots fan, I get it. But this was just at the time where I was like, I was glad to like be collecting those.
Yeah. Obviously, this is kind of a mix of what you got.
Yeah, so that's the Bumblebee stuff. And then that's the Optimus premium finish. So that one was just too sweet.
Now, this was interesting where you were showing the fix for the odd mix mission, that poor Viper 3-pack where they just mix and match Vipers, as I like to call it.
That was interesting. And the
reason I don't ever take the pads off, so it didn't bother me as much, I guess, but I could see how it would bother some people.
I was able to do a neck swap that you'll see with Stalker. So I wanted to keep these. And when I called customer care at Hasbro, they're like, send them back. We'll send you a new set. I'm like, I'm not sending shit back. Send me new figures. Like, you charged $89.99. I got them on sale. You charged $89.99 for these. The quality is not there. Send me a new pack. I'm not sending you a thing. Send me a new pack. And they did. But it took some... I had to hassle them a little bit.
Yeah, I understand. Now, this is just, did you take the neck from Stalker? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Is that what I was getting into? Because I kind of looked at him. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, now we're at X-Men. Some of this, I'm sorry. I organized it the best I could on some of it.
That's why I tried naming them to try to help out a little bit.
So this is your X-Men Legends, obviously.
And they're with the Prime arcade. So those are the same characters that are in the game. So now they're playing themselves in the game. I got
those Fortnite video game cabinets. So I'm probably going to get some Kyle Robinson custom stickers.
Exactly. Yes. What's his Instagram handle again? Is it Shelf Presents? What is it? The website is Shelf Presents.
Yeah, I think the website is Shelf Presents, but I just go to Kyle Robinson's Customs and click the link in the bio, go from there.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the end. Hang on, we're going to go, give me a second to pull this one, and then we'll go to the customs. I didn't realize that one was a custom when I pulled it up, so give me a second. I kind of tried to create a custom folder, but I don't know that I got everything in it that was customs from...
Hey, don't swear in the chat. It's not going to show up on YouTube. That's not this show. You're not on Toy Kind of Mood right now.
Well, if they got to swear, they can swear. I just don't know what they're swearing for.
Well, I think they got blocked because Punk's comment isn't showing up on the stream. I can see it in our chat on StreamYard, but I'm not seeing it on.
It's probably waiting for me to approve it.
Haha. I need to do that. I need to get on that.
All right. All right. Here's the thing that you sent me. I was interested in what is okay. This thing right here.
So this is a shout out to Fantastic Toy Robot. This is like one of my favorite customs. He did a whole layout. Like he like had like
I
a cover
just
image of it. Yeah.
whew,
So
that
either
is
he
so
got
cool.
that from Gnome's Paint Shop or Jay's Armory or I don't know where, but he just did a fantastic job painting that up. This is better than what's up on Hasbro right now.
I mean that to me is just like ooh, that is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes me jelly.
Don't be jelly, dude. Like you're gonna do your own thing. Fair
Now
to
here's
workaholic. Fair
yeah,
to
I love
workaholic.
fairy stuff.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites to get. You know, whenever he puts something up, it's just like tempting.
And see, he's using that liquid chrome, just the dots on the rivets. It doesn't
Yeah.
take much to really make it sing. Putting it on the guns and the
And
rifle.
there's so much detail in the sculpt that doesn't really get paint.
Mhm.
So even sometimes just highlighting some of those little sculpted areas, I mean, it makes all the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, get in there. Yeah, let's take a look and see. Look at
I
how
mean,
he did those straps, those red straps.
yeah,
That's detail work right there.
the gun work.
You need a whisker brush with that. You see that? You have to, or either that liquid mask or like masking tape and an X-Acto knife.
Oh yeah, you can do it with masking tape and an X-Acto knife. You can also do it with painter's tape and an X-Acto knife.
Mm-hmm. Look at and the belt
I
buckles.
mean, just the buckles.
Putting the red and the chrome on the straps, man.
Yeah, just small. It's the small little things that he does.
The bolts on the boot panels.
And you know, he paints. This is all hand paint. This isn't.
Yeah.
There's no
airbrushing, none of that. Yeah.
So, I mean, I just love.
So
love
what is
some
he
of the
doing
stuff.
there? Is he using? How's he doing the chrome effect? Because doing that much with liquid chrome, that's not going to give you that.
You could, if you were just barely tapping. You could use it on a toothpick.
There's Stuart Simple. Stuart Simple has this thing called Mirror. It's expensive as hell, but it's the best chrome stuff you can get out there.
I like this one. I like the purple tops.
Yeah.
Or it could be a navy blue.
But
I swear.
if this was purple, it'd be just as sweet. I don't want both. Why don't they do more AVs like this, man? They're sitting on the money.
I don't understand it either, but I guess I assume that maybe there's some reason.
Alley Viper Officer and Alley Vipers. Just do another 3-pack. Do different colors. Look at that. So that's like the same.
This is the Pursuit of Cobra one.
Exactly.
I would much prefer this one to the classic one. I'm very partial to this coloration.
Yeah.
The orange and blue just it doesn't.
I love the orange and blue. I love it.
But here's the thing: is it doesn't really fit in with the rest of it. If it
like it did back then.
Oh no, it didn't back then either. That's what I'm saying. It's one of the reasons that I mean that was after I stopped collecting anyway. So, but it probably would have been the one of the ones I've looked at and gone, what?
If they do Alley Vipers in the movie, they need to do it like this though.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do orange and blue in the movie. I'd do it like that.
See, this right here is kind of what I got. A couple of extra Python Patrol Vipers, and I'm going to probably black them out and do some because I want them to be Iron Grenadiers.
Okay,
so I got the little water slides to make them that way.
So what they would do back in the day for the gold effect, they would paint it chrome and not using liquid chrome. They would use like either a silver or a chrome paint, and then you put a translucent yellow over it.
See, this is where I got the idea.
Okay.
This is Destro's arms.
Right.
This is the Crimson Guard body. This is the symbol in the center. So this is where I got the idea for mine. At least the basic anyway. Except he did his sword is still gold and the handle, the pommel is black, but I'm doing different than that.
Yeah.
See, I've got bats specifically to do Iron Grenadier bats.
Yeah.
And I got original bats, not the Python Patrol bats. I got the the black one, so I don't have to do as much paint work.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Madsen can probably answer this. In the comics, it was Destro's son who ended up doing the Grenadier aesthetic in IDW, right? Do I have that right? I think so. But either way, how they decide to do Iron Grenadier, they can do that whole line that way.
And here's his Sunbow Snake Eyes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And in version
Then,
4.
yeah, I like the black on timber. I think that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this is awesome.
Yeah. I love it with the black hood. Doom Dazed. He was on our Terradrome show. He has a red hood Supreme Snake. You can't go wrong either way.
Yeah, I know. His stuff is fantastic. Okay, now this one was, I was trying to figure out where this, because you had this as Floosh. Mr.
Yeah,
T.
so one of the authors from Foosh, either This Thunder or VV or someone like that, got the Mattel Mr. T, kit bashed it with Roblox. Those are the robot legs from Wave 1. So the gold fits. So that glitz and glam kind of fits with Mr. T.
Got it. Okay, I was like, Floosh. And here's your showing the
Gil Tucker. So that's where I got the idea to use hammerheads for the Crimson Twins. And I like those because the other suited bodies are kind of skinny. At first I had Everett Ross from the Wakanda Forever Wave. Too skinny. Hammerhead has some heft. Crimson Twins, they're not skinny boys.
Yeah, no. And when I saw the hammerheads when they were on sale, I was like, yeah, I had to get that.
And that was Gil Tucker's dock. So that inspired me to do my version of that dock, and that was my first custom. And I used like the Cobra Island Roblox glasses and all that kind of stuff. There's Doc's, Giles Giffords.
He's on a totally different level. Him and Stronach.
Hey, comparison is the thief of joy.
I know it, but the thing is I know I could probably do something as far as depth and detail like that. But that's one of those things I'd have to have a lot more time.
And you have to make time. So give yourself 30 minutes a day. Give yourself 45 minutes a day. When I was doing Crimson Cobra Commander, I wouldn't have been able to finish that without the Pomodoro technique. I would have driven myself insane. So I did arms. Well, I'm done with the arms. Legs, I'm done with the legs. Like I said, the first time I did it, it was too dark. Like I put it together, I'm like, this is too dark a shade of red. So
my dog is going off in the background.
What? He doesn't like Lifeline? What's up?
No, he's playing with my son, and they're currently.
So shout out to Gun Bunny Customs.
I do like the purple. I gotta say, I kind of digging the purple there.
I was pleased as punch to have Gun Bunny be our guest. I've been wanting Gun Bunny on Terradrome for a long time, and it finally happened, and I was so glad.
Yeah, and I do like this.
That Stinger driver, yeah. He did an even better version.
Yeah. I do love Romo's though. Sorry, I gotta say I do love
Yeah, Romo, see, the dude kills it, man. Like I'm blessed to have very talented friends.
It was something else, man. When I saw it, I was like, oh.
We need a Stinger. Now we need the Stinger. How much did the Stinger cost?
We need the
How much did the Stinger and the Vamp cost? What would you pay?
I don't think it's more than 100. I don't think it's more than $100 vehicle. Because you got to realize there's not a whole lot to it.
And there really isn't, man. It's a box. If they can do Brat's car for 40, if they can do this and that with MOQ, if they're greedy, they'll screw this up. I'm not even saying 100. I'm not saying 80, 60. You do 80 and it comes with.
We know that ain't gonna happen,
huh?
That's I would love to see it at that price, but I think the thing is that one's gonna get more than one use as a mold because you've got 2 Vamps and you could probably do a Stinger.
You can do the Stinger. You can do the Dreadnought colors. It's going to be Pulse exclusive. Yeah. They're not going to put it on. They're going to do it, but they're not. It's going to be Pulse exclusive, and it won't be retro either. They'll update it.
Yeah. So we got a few questions left, so we'll kind of go through them, and we'll see what you say.
All right.
So you kind of talked about your brief, and we kind of gone through your stuff. Is there a vintage line that you would like to see with modern aesthetics?
I love the Speed Racer movie.
Okay. Interesting.
I love diecast. Speed Racer came out 15 years ago. It's crazy how long ago that was. And I've actually had to go back and like track down. And I got doubles. I got them on card and I got them loose. I love the movie. So I would love to see them do Jetta Toys. I would love to see Jetta Toys do this. Shout out to the Street Fighter figures they have. I would love to see them do more diecast. I would love to see them doing 118 scale, 124 scale, 130, 32nd scale, whatever. But I love Speed Racer. I think the movie's a perfect live action cartoon. I think it's a love letter to not just the manga, but the Americanized version that aired in the States. I love the movie, and I wish I was collecting Hot Wheels at the time because that I could have saved some money if I had those. But I love
isn't that kind of always how it works, though? You could have saved some money if you were doing it at the time. Because I went back when I bought those 25th, 30th, Pursuit of Cobra, 50th, and some of those prices that I paid for like Shipwreck, Lifeline, Sci-Fi. Those figures were important to me as a kid, but I mean, some of those prices for a 3 3/4 inch figure, I literally would slap myself in retrospect.
Yeah.
But, I don't regret buying them, but I do kind of regret spending how much I did.
I get tempted sometimes. I loved Captain Power as a kid. To this day, when I write using the soundtrack to Captain Power because it's generic enough that it fits. It's very 80s action movies, not necessarily sci-fi or future, right? But I had the Energizer, I had the figures, I had the bad guys. I had the good guy jet, the bad guy jet. I still have the videotapes, man. I will sometimes visit Toy Connections and Mega J Retro on online. We were Ken Poe, Toy Connections, was kind enough to host Toy Kind of Mood on his show, and we just talked about a lot of cool stuff. Visionaries. They could do Visionaries 6-inch scale, 1/12 scale with holograms. You can add on LEDs. Storm collectibles. You can do like Tamashii Nation or style like those translucent plastic effects. So instead of it being fire effects, they'd be the animals. They'd be like the spirits, and they'd be like that kind of stuff, right? You can put them on flight stands. I would love to see Visionaries, lights and sounds. I would love to see, and don't give it to Super 7. Give it to Mattel or Hasbro because Super 7 will charge it out of existence. All those figures should be a lot better. They should be doing what Storm Collectibles. I mean, what Storm Collectibles is like $100, but it's worth it. Mythic Legions, $35 plus shipping, worth it, right? So if I had a Visionaries on the detail with this that had light up panels and had like the spirit animals as effects pieces that were like translucent plastic that I could light up for photos.
Oh yeah, no, I could see that.
Yeah, so
that
Visionaries,
would be,
lights the magical light. Visionaries was Mattel. Was Visionaries Mattel? Hold
on. You fool.
Hold on.
I'm trying to think because there was also Supernaturals too. So there were similar themes, but I cannot.
It was Sumbo. It was the same people that it was Hasbro and it was Sumbo Productions. So it was the same. Yeah. So Hasbro, bring back Visionaries. Go full tilt. I seen you do Dungeons and Dragons. I know you're watching Pain. We all watch Pain's toy samples.
Yeah.
Bring it back. Bring back Visionaries.
I was so sad and happy at the same time when they did the Dungeons and Dragons figures because it has a special meaning for me because my brother and I, we would watch that together on Saturday mornings. That was one of the few times where we weren't trying to beat the tar out of each other because that was kind of what we did. But when they came out and they were just, the QC issues were just so bad, I just couldn't see myself spending full price on it. I waited till they went on clearance. I got them all on clearance. I bought them at clearance. They just sit. They're not being played with. They're just in the, with the background that I got from Venger and Dungeon Master. They're in a bookcase. So
I would sell them. If they were that disappointing, I would just sell them.
Yeah. So I have a connection to them because of my brother, and that's probably why I'm holding on to them.
All right. In that case, never mind, because it's still giving you joy.
It's one of those things where he doesn't remember it, but I remember it. So it's okay that he doesn't remember it.
Hey, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get the Dungeons and Dragons movie for like $7 now.
Oh, I already got it. I bought it. Yeah, no, I got it. I got it when it was $10 on Voodoo because I'm, I always bargain hunt for movies. I just wait till they go to the $10 and might as well invest at that point.
All right.
So in thinking about your collection, what makes you want a figure? What draws you to a figure?
I would say it's part execution, part nostalgia, and then applications. Sometimes it's because I'm a customizer. Other times it's because I've already collected something, so I'm going to add to it. So, for example, Baron von Strucker. You saw all those Hydra figures, right?
Yeah.
So I have Madame Hydra, and now I have Baron von Strucker. So it's a piece of something I can add to what I already have. It helps extend the collection. I don't have to go all in on a whole new collection. Sometimes it's because like I was so aggravated that the outcry cost me this concept art figure that I just wanted to have a representation. And I think the reason I've held off on doing the review that long is I kind of do just like keeping it mint on card, but I'm going to open it up because I had to review it for the channel. The Crimson Bats, the Arctic Bats, Python Patrol Bats, you know, like I was watching G.I. Joe past the movie Operation Dragonfire, the Deke series, and all that stuff. So a lot of that Dayglow stuff did make it to the Deke version of the show, not Sun.
Oh yeah.
And so some of the 90s stuff I'll probably grab, not all of it. I'm not going to get Crystal Ball. I'm not going to get
What?
Ice Cream Soldier. No.
What?
And I get some pretty zany stuff. Like I got the orange Jolly Rancher popsicle Alley Vipers, right? But I'm not going to
get Crystal Ball, but think about it.
But listen, man, like Night Force is all me. They're going to do the Night Force Shockwave before we get Shockwave, right? Yeah. They're going to do Night Force Repeater. Night Force, they're going to do there. We have Tunnel Rat, but we'll get Night Force Tunnel Rat, Night Force Flint, that kind of stuff, right?
Night Force Outback.
And my thing is, I'm thinking Crazy Legs is going to be the third unlock for Dragon Live because it's Night Force.
Yeah.
So if you do Night Force Crazy Legs, he's got the gear. It makes sense to me. Then you do the classic Crazy Legs. I don't know. I could be wrong. What do you think, chat? Like, I don't know. I'll ask the chat. They're stuck with it. You got a loyal chat, dude, man. Cats, they be leaving us to kind of move, man. They be leaving.
Yeah. So, I hate using this word, but it is what it is.
Okay.
Buyer's regrets, remorse, something that you bought that you now wish you hadn't.
I mean, and this kind of will answer another question. So I call myself Black Genghis because it's like all the unification with none of the genocide. So like how Genghis Khan united all the Asian nations basically through bloodshed and war. I'm just uniting all these different brands under my own collection. But it can be expensive collecting so much. So sometimes it means cutting off that entire thing. Like I'm not really buying Master First and Origins right now. I was buying them to just be buying them in a lot of cases. I got the movie figures. I love the movies. I didn't get the William Stock collection from Motu Classics. So I'm glad to have the movie Skeletor and He-Man. I didn't get the Master of the Verse head sculpt from Ramen Toy, right? Because I just gotta save money right now.
Yeah.
And so once that, like I had to cancel Skeletor and Screech. I canceled Slamurai. I canceled this. I canceled that. I had all those Master First Clamp Champ, Clawful, Buzz Off, Prince Adam, Horde Skeletor. I canceled a lot of my Masters of the Universe right now. If I find it on pegs, if I find it on sale, that's one thing, but that's what it is right now. Yeah. I dedicated to that second Dragonfly. That may be buyer's remorse because I won't be able to make my money back off of that second Wild Bill and Glenda and Ripcord until it finally comes in winter 2024, right?
Yeah.
So it's pushed me to the limit in a lot of times. And I've had some hard times. I've gone through some hard things so that if there's a late fee here, a missed bill there, it's not the end of the world. I'll make it up. Collecting has been more expensive than it should have been because I've had to pay late fees sometimes. Or I overspent on a figure that just wait 3 weeks and it could have been cleared out on sale, right?
I think that's always a precarious thing for some. I mean, collecting is not for the faint of heart. Mm-hmm. It's not for the people that are just not good with money because, man, I could.
Yeah.
I fight myself daily about because the way that I deal with wanting to buy everything is I stick to my rules. Clearance was always, it was really hard when I went into a store, which I don't go into stores very often now, so it's a good thing. But I still have online sales. Like, I get that email from Big Bad Toy Store saying, "Hey, these are on sale," or I go check out Hella Dope Toys and see what's cheaper than what it should be, and I'm just like, I gotta draw a line somewhere because there's fiscal responsibility that needs to be tied into my toys, because my toys are my therapy. They're my daily, whatever I want to do with them on a daily basis. They are that thing that keeps me sane and keeps me going in the right direction. The community is what I appreciate. I appreciate the group of people that I have brought around myself. People like yourself, Ryan, Romo, Brick Something, Highly Articulated Adam, all the guys in the Frenzy, Ostradamus Toys, Kenpo, all of those people that I'm in their circle now, and they're in my circle. I appreciate the community of toys more than the toys, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
To Star's question, I'm assuming he's asking it to both of us. Does a community of collectors or interest by others have any sway in your interest in any given line, or give your interest in a given line longevity? For me, yes. Unfortunately, I am easily enabled because this whole thing and this whole thing.
I had to be careful with AWOC, man. I had to be careful with AWOC.
These two things are 100% enabled.
You got me on.
I'm sorry, but they're cool figures. I can't help it.
They're so cool.
I share the good stuff. That's what I do. I bring people to the good stuff. But that's what it is. I mean, honestly, when I add a figure series, I'm going to cut one. I'm going to cut the one that's not making me happy or isn't something that I need in my collection. So I had to make those choices. I mean, there are some that I don't have any connection to. I gave up the one that I gave up to start collecting AWOC. I mean, it was redundant.
What was it?
It was Action Force. It was a redundant line for me. Yeah. It's a G.I. Joe line that's not labeled G.I. Joe, and I don't need it anymore.
Yeah. I have Skeletron, and Skeletron for me is more keeping in line with the original Palatoy spirit.
Yeah, and I got a Roboskull coming in.
Yeah,
and I got a couple 6-inch figures.
Yeah,
and I probably will end up getting a couple Skeletrons. After seeing the 6-inch Skeletron after the fact, it was just one of those things that at the time when I bought my Roboskull, I didn't think about it. It's like, I don't know. But then now that I'm seeing sculpts for the figures, and I'm just like, oh, dude. So I know hopefully they'll have some on the store so that I can pick up at least a couple because they look great. But then again, there's stuff like BBTS's exclusive Monster Force. Mm-hmm. After Joe Fest, I was just like, oh, damn.
I have rules, man. Like,
I don't need another line, but it fits. It fits.
It does. I got that first opening salvo from AWOC from the Kickstarter I supported. Thing came in. I stopped, man. I stopped. The troop builders, they're perfect. And even if they don't come with armor, you can add armor to them. Oh, man. I was going to do apes versus peelies, man. Apes versus peelies. And I had to stop. I was like, let me stop.
Well, the thing with AWOC for me is there's a rich lore. It's just hidden. You got to read the comic, and then once you read the comic, you're like, oh hell.
I haven't read that comic. I got the comic in, and I was like, don't read it.
It's in for a penny, in for a pound after you read that comic, kid. I promise.
I'm just gonna have it. I'm gonna put it on a bag and board, and that'll be
so. But what about you? Does the community itself influence kind of where you go?
Sometimes they give me great ideas. Like, once again, Romo, like I start doing the superpowers, and I'll get two. I'll get one to rock, one to stock. I'll put one on the wall, and I have some open. So I have a Batman in the Batwing. I have the new wave coming in, and those are all going to be open. I have the Batmobile, so Batman and Robin are going to go in the Batmobile, and I have a Batman in the Batwing, and I have a Batman on the wall. Superman and the Supermobile, whatever. Cape Masters. I bought Cape Masters. Wasn't going to get Wonder Woman. I was like, what's up with these colors? But you add the Cape Master cape with it, and it's going to look great. It's going to look just like it does on the card art. We did a whole episode on McFarlane Toys, and I'm like, now I got to get all these toys. So hold on. So after I did that episode, that's what my collection ended up looking like.
Yeah.
Okay?
I get it.
Okay. So like sometimes it's like, okay, there's some really cool stuff here.
I have a wall of McFarlane.
Yeah.
DC multiverse
they're all on
figures.
sale. I got them for cheap. I'm gonna build Solomon Grundy for less than $40.
Well, I gotta get a replacement for the right arm, because when we got my puppy, because technically he's a puppy. He my wife left him unattended, and for a few minutes, literally, like, it wasn't like, but maybe a minute or two, and he drug my Solomon and Grundy out and bit the hand off almost, and then chewed the head.
Okay.
He's a puppy. I mean, he was 6-7 months old at that time, so it is what it is. He also did that to my Daredevil from the Daredevil 3-pack, which I can't get. So the arm on my Daredevil is actually an Articulated Icons arm.
Yeah.
So I may do. It is what it is.
Holler at me on Instagram so I can like keep an eye out if I find those parts, or you can do like the save search.
I'm there. That Ra's al Ghul, he's going on clearance.
Okay.
At Entertainment Earth, so I'll probably pick him up when he hits $10, because he will.
When you bought the Guardians on clearance, were you able to build Cosmo, or do you not have enough?
I didn't buy any of them.
Okay.
I already had a set of Guardians, so why do I need another set?
Exactly, right. It's just because
it's not even the Guardians that I want. I want the real Guardians. Now I want the Cosmo. So if I'm going to get a Cosmo, do you know there's a 2-pack for the kids' toys that has a Groot and a Cosmo?
I did not know that. It's decent enough, right?
And it's decent enough. It'll work.
Okay.
I mean, even this one is decent enough to work
nice.
for me.
That's nice.
The McDonald's toy. I mean, it's on my desk.
It's funny. Just a Chotsky is a desk toy. But you got to have boundaries. There's nothing wrong with having boundaries and parameters. It keeps a collection active, and it keeps it from becoming painful.
Yeah, exactly. No,
you don't want this to be painful. Right?
You have to, if you're any type of responsible individual. However, that being said, I'm going to ask you the magic question for toy collecting.
Okay.
If space and money, which are the two major factors in toy collecting, weren't an issue, what would you collect and why?
Sideshow collectibles, Hot Toys, 1/6 scale. I would go back and get the G.I. Joes. I get third-party Starship Troopers, X-06, Star Trek, Classic Star Trek, Cisco, Picard, Data. I'd go back and I get Snyder Cut, Weta Workshop, 1/6, Avengers, Endgame, Infinity War, Black Panther, with the Wakandan Throne, 1/6. I was window shopping for years before I got into collecting 1/12 scale. So even though I wasn't collecting toys, I was looking at Mondo and looking at Big Bad Toy Store, just window shopping. The first toy I bought wasn't even for me. It was a Masterpiece Shattered Glass Optimus for a good friend of mine that was a wedding gift. And, and I knew he loved Transformers. He loved Shattered Glass. He loved the flip-flop aesthetic of it. But he wasn't going to buy himself Masterpiece. That Masterpiece was half price when I got it. So I got it and I gave it to him, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. And that was really like the leak, where Willie Mays put the tape on the thing.
Yeah.
That was the first leak, just to be like, oh man, this is cool. I should have got myself one. Vintage collection. The TIE Fighter was only $40. Got the X-Wing, but I had to buy Luke and R2D2 separate, but I got it. So now I had a TIE Fighter and I had an X-Wing and I had this Sith Trooper, and then I went toy hunting for a Mandalorian. Then the world shut down, and then all of this happened. But if space wasn't an issue, I would have gotten the DX Chogokin Roy Fokker Veritech. I would have gotten fireworks. They're starting to get prepared for the 4th. So much 1/6 stuff. The Mondo He-Man, Sideshow She-Ra, Hordak, Skeletor, Tweeterhead. I would have went full premium. And the funny thing is, I would have saved money. I would have saved money if I went 1/6 because I spent a lot of money on this collection.
Yeah, because you're only going to get a couple figures a year. So
exactly, it's quality over quantity. I would have went full 1/6.
It's weird because for me, when I think about that, if I ask myself that question, I would go vintage. I would go 100% vintage. I would go back and get my flag. I would go back and get a Defiant. I would go back and get a Terradrome. Vehicles anyway, and play sets. I mean, I would go back and get a Bivouac playset just because there's a simple toyetic aspect to that.
Yeah.
For me, it's a weird thing because when I think about it, I don't want those toys now as an adult. But if I had space and I had the money, I would do that.
Yeah.
But it's not what I want to collect, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of strange. It's hard to explain, I guess. So there's another question that I ask, and it's sometimes it's, because you've come back and forth between collecting and not collecting. Is there a time that you see yourself not collecting? What does that look like for you?
It looks like the time before I really got serious about it. So when I started collecting, I was fortunate enough to get a raise at a time that really helped out a lot. So that's when I started going to Galaxy's Edge, or that's when I started going to Comic-Con and looking at exclusives and stuff like that. And at first, it was, like I said, I wasn't really getting stuff for me because I wasn't collecting at the time. So I got like the Mo Tussle set for my manager at the time. Mm-hmm. And I got a Yankees My Little Pony for a friend. And I got an Optimus Prime My Little Pony for another friend. I couldn't get a Game of Thrones Monopoly set. Right? It was like super ultra limited. Yeah. That kind of thing, right? I was collecting Funkos. I was collecting Funkos like in 2015, 2016, that kind of thing. So I had Funkos. I don't collect Funkos anymore, but I still have the ones that I got, and I like them. I'm there's a part of me that misses Funko, but I was just spending too much money on them. I would just have my collection as is. Like I had a cool nerd office. I had like the Infinity Gauntlet, and I had the Stark Gauntlet. I had a Enterprise drone that I could fly around. We were sort of like in a warehouse type things or a storeroom. So I had room to actually like fly drones and whatnot. It's kind of cool. And I didn't have much. So I guess you could call that a collection, but it wasn't really much. It wasn't much. I had like the 89 Batmobile, the Hot Wheels Elite Snyder Cut Batmobile was on sale for $60. So I got that too. But that was it, right? And it was really small. But it was enough. Shit, man. I had probably as much fun with that as I did with this stuff. I don't have time to like pull out everything. So I'm at a point now where like I'm really scaling back. I'm selling Transformers. I'm selling Black Series. I'm, I love the Mythic Legions. And it's not where I could have an expansive Mythic Legions thing. But right now I have enough just for Conan to fight. At this point, they're just fighting Conan. But yeah, it's going to shrink. It's going to contract. I probably fairly soon. I don't see myself adding stuff. If they get to Overlord and Classified, if they do Battle Armor Cobra Commander, like at that point, I may not even get it. I mean,
no. I'm getting Battle Armor Commander. No. That's not... you want to give me a Cobra Commander?
Remove the helmet. I was once a man, but it's like. But I may just come back to it later, or someone will give me a gift. Like I had that Sith Trooper from Rise of Skywalker. Because right now I just have to plan for the future. There's things like, don't let me get too deep, but there's things I want to do that I would not be able to do with an active collection. That's just, it is what it is. And I'm glad.
It can be a burden as much as a blessing.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel entirely burdensome. I accept what I've done. I dig what I dig. I like what I like. I I don't need any more right now. Not now. And it may get to the point where, like I said, like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know when they're gonna do, that the cool '90s stuff. What if they go into Renegades? They go into Sigma 6. They're released a Dragon Hawk, or they do a throwbacks. I'm like, hey, remember Rise of Cobra? It's just the accelerator suit. I'm good, right? That kind of thing.
I mean, there's always those things that we all, if are you a completist? I mean, that's kind of the trick.
Right.
If you're a completist, it doesn't matter. But if you're not a completist, that's one of the best things to be, because you can just walk away at any point.
Right.
Joe is one of those things that I'm completist on. Everything else, I am not. I mean, yeah, I'm getting all of the Masterverse, but honestly, if I had to walk away from it, I could.
I canceled the Python Patrol Crimson Guard because, one, that was me being a completist, but two, they're going to go on clearance. I got the Vipers on clearance. I got the Bats on clearance. Yeah. I'm going to get those Crimson Guard on clearance.
Yeah, I think I got 3 on order. I mean, I didn't go. My normal with troop builders is 5 now.
Yeah.
So
I do what fixture
3. I only have 2 Crimson Bats, and I got the 1 bat in, and I wasn't very happy with it. And I got another one just so I could have. You got 5.
I got 5 on it.
Yeah, I couldn't, because it was just, there was too many issues with that particular one. I'm hoping this Arctic bag, but I only got 2 of them on order, 3 of them on order. So this one plus 2 more from our friends at Helidope Toys.
So, I don't mind the Crimson Bag. I dig it. But I got to start.
I like the coloration. I like the figure. I just have issues with some of the joints.
Okay.
And I don't like the tolerances. I don't know if it's if it's the factory having an issue, or if it's the actual injected mold part that's starting to break down because it's been used so much. I don't know.
You'll have to let us know what you think of the Arctic Bats.
Oh, well. I'll let people know all the time.
Yeah.
I
do troop build, and when I can get them on sale, then I get them on sale. Power Pulse, right?
Yeah, I'll wait till the Pulse days if there's any more that I want to pick up. Just, in 6 months there'll be a sale, and it'll be 35% off for those of us that pay the $50, which is worth it at the end of the day, because you're still, as much as I order stuff, I'm making my money back after about 4 orders.
Right.
You having fun over there, guys? My son. But before we go, we got one last thing. You got to tell everybody where to find you, and tell them what you're doing.
Okay, man. You can find me on youtube.com/@blackgingus. If I had my frame rate situation right, I would have gone live by now. So I'll be ironing out the kinks. I did not want to miss this stream. But I have some great reviews out that you'll be able to check out. Marvel Select Blade, Mezco Toys, Gridiron, a lot of cool stuff. Just having a lot of fun. I hope to get some more live customizing done, live painting, like fixing up the figures.
We should probably do something together on that.
That'd be cool. We got to bring on Tony.
Yeah.
We got to bring on some other customizers that you're buddies with. We should holler at Gerwig on like G.I. Joe 3D printing. But and also I'll be talking about stuff. Mark II Toys right now. He has a vehicle that's coming out. So sometimes I will do small news bites. It won't be like the 2-hour, 3-hour things you see from Toy Kind of Mood. It'll be really quick hits, right? The X-Men 275. I got the Wolverine. I got both 3-packs. I'm going to line them all up. It's going to be so much fun. So be sure to check those out. I have a few videos done right now, re-exporting this whole time, and I think they're done now. Hopefully there won't be like max headroom. Like, bear with me. I'm new to the YouTube.
You got to get the kinks worked out. That's how it works.
Working them out. That's all. So, but I got a lot of good feedback already. Just from showing people like bits and pieces, like my inner circle. I showed them some clips from the video, and they have really kind of things to say. So I'm excited, and it's been a long time coming. I'm really proud of the work we did at Toy Kind of Mood. That's not going anywhere. It may not be as fast and furious as it was. The Yojo June stuff really set the pace for our Joe Kind of June, and it was a lot. You took a big bite out of our bottoms, but I'm so proud of it. The hosts, the guests that we got, Baldy Locks, Doom Days, Gun Bunny, they were fantastic, and we were able to really talk science on what we appreciate about these figures, the love of the lore of the brand and the universe. Like I'm really proud of my Glinda post on Instagram where I'm like, chill out, man. This is a great thing. This is going to be good for us.
We need more Glindas in the line.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. We need some more. Yeah, it's great for us. There's 5 figures in a wave.
Yeah,
give me one that we haven't seen a whole lot of, or one that was an exclusive for somewhere else, or a version that we can't get readily, or give me something new.
Give me something new.
I want a new figure that's totally designed from the ground up. Give me something fancy and new. Last new figure we really had was what? Shadow Tracker?
Yeah, that was part of that jungle.
That was Pursuit of Cobra?
Yeah, exactly. So I would say, like, the sculptor Cuthbert on Dragonfly, he would have been great to actually do him as a Joe.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been cool, right? Like, how we have a Joe called Sky Striker, so you could have called him Dragonfly.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of thing. But I don't think they're going to do that. New vehicles. Coil is new to the line. If they end up doing an updated 4-wheeler, and then they needed to find a way to do it at cost, then a new vehicle will be a great way to do that. That you could fit in 4 classified figures, have a gunner, that kind of thing, right? Have clutch, and not have it cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah, I think that's the trick, is balancing that price to value. Yeah. And I think Joe does it better than pretty much every other Hasbro brand.
Definitely.
So, before we go, I have one last question, and it's for you and everybody in the audience. What did you find joy in today?
Okay. So, I was glad enough to find some gridiron stuff that I've been looking for a long time. It's going to help me pull off and finish custom work. When you asked me the questions, I had fun just pulling together things that represented my childhood, like stuff I hadn't looked at in a while, like stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
Like just being like,
I remember that. Yeah.
So it was just fun being like, what's something I can show this dude? Like, because I wanted to impress you, frankly. But it was also just to be like, yeah, man, I got this, but I also got this, and you should combine these two because they're awesome.
That looks awesome.
It's gonna be awesome when you put these together. Gridiron loves Mythic Legions. They do a lot of great stuff for Mythic Legions.
If I was just collecting Joe, Gridiron would be a problem.
Gridiron is one of my favorite problems.
But now that I have my own 3D printer, I don't need.
You're gonna love
that's
that.
The trick is I'm gonna be making my own stuff.
Yeah,
I am figuring out some of the gun like Mark II Design. He sells his STLs.
Yeah.
So I bought a couple of his, so I'm gonna have to scale them up just a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it looks like they're scaling a little small because I printed 2. I printed 2 AK-47s off, and they're scaled just a smidge small. So I'm gonna have to up them a little bit to get them to that classified size. They probably would scale okay with Legends because Legends I think is a little bit
6-inch scale. Sometimes a heroic scale. Hasbro's a little bit beefier sometimes.
Yeah.
But I will say also, I found joy in fixing one of my technical snafus because I was having a disconnect between nerd stuff, the sequence settings, and the video settings. So that's why I was getting like problems and hiccups and whatnot. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to do that. Now I had to redo all of this, but it'll be worth it. And now I won't make that same mistake again. So happy, joy, happy, joy.
Hey, that's how it works, man. It's just one of those things is with this hobby, it can be a great source of happiness, or it can be a really bad source of grief. And I think when you take it too seriously and you're not happy doing it, don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things that's kind of one of those things where I asked that question about seeing yourself not collecting. For me, if I'm not seeing myself happy doing it, I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that for too long in my life, where you're just banging your head against the wall, figuring it out that it doesn't work and it doesn't make you happy, but you keep doing it anyway.
You keep doing it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that anymore.
It takes bravery to do something different. Doing what you know you need to do.
Oh, what I'm doing right now, I've trained in front of 50, 75, 100 people. That's doesn't bug me, but this was one of those things that I would not imagine I would ever do.
Okay.
Not in a million years. Mm-hmm. If you had told me 2 years ago I'd be on, YouTube on a Friday night talking toys, I would have thought you were crazy.
Right.
So with that, I have my little thing. Hopefully everybody found joy. They didn't say that they found joy, but you know what? I'm assuming they did, and they'll figure it out. Yeah. So with that, if you can be anything, folks, be kind, and everybody have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.